Yo, yo, yo. What's going on? I just totally like left my phone someplace. Wild. No, I forgot my whole phone in the hallway. I just left my whole phone there. Thanks, Leo. I appreciate that. Well, come on in. Hello, everybody. Come on in. Come hang out. How you guys doing today? You guys doing good? Chase, you can't be a super fan. All right. Super fans are members, and it doesn't look like you are one. All right. Real super fans to be members. Sorry, Chase. You're like a step below that. It's kind of hot up here today. Well, come on in. We're just getting this thing started. I had to finish my song real quick. All right, it's finished. It was really cold. It was really cold. It was really cold today out here. I don't know why. How much to be a member? Oh shoot, I forgot. There's two different. There's two different level. I think there's three different levels. I think it's like $5, something like that. Nothing crazy. Yeah, it's like $5 or something. I would look great in a MAGA hat. First of all, red's not my color. Second of all, neither is fascism. Doesn't go real well on me. It's just not my color, you know? I don't wear fascism well. But I mean, to each their own, I guess. To each their own. But I look pale today. I didn't adjust those cameras. Oh no, I did adjust. That's just because it's a different camera. It's just because it's a different camera, and I'm not gonna have it for long. And so like I can no. It's just because my number anyways, on that one the camera's off. And I don't really have time to fix it. I don't have time to sit here and play with it all the way to get it to exactly how it is on the other side. Plus, it's closer, so the light hits it different. I'm not going to worry about it because literally I just have to use this camera in order to get this account. You like this one? Is this good? You're sharing. You're saying this is good? I just have to use this so I can get this account ready so that I can use it through use it the way I use it normally, but I have to go live so many times on this account in order to be able to use the whole thing. Anyways, it's a whole thing. But anyways, I got like 3 cameras at me right now, so That's the problem. So, anywho, welcome on in. We're about to get this thing started. Guys, yeah, the color's gonna be weird. Don't worry about it. It's okay. You guys got to deal with it for like today and maybe like one other day, and then it'll be better. So, all good. Hey Corey, hey Shush. See Wendy, VJ, Valador, everybody's over here. Freddie, Carolyn, Dre Day, Chester, Heathen. All the members in today. Tim, what's going on? But yeah, someone was asked about members. If you want to go to members, you go back to my page where you hit subscribe. It'll say like, I don't know, it says something. I forgot exactly what it says. But then you click right where the I think it says join, and then it'll give you like the member prices and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to become a member, that's really awesome. I haven't really put out that much members only content lately. I'm not gonna lie. I've been super busy. But I do have an idea for an entire show that's gonna be a members only show. And I'm super excited about that. So I am super excited about that show that I have not released yet. So, but it should be really fun. All right, let's open up the phone lines. Let's just start this thing out right. Let's see if we can get some callers going right at the beginning of the live. I had to get on a little bit later today. I don't know how, like, my times are all messed up right now. So, with when I'm going to be live and stuff like that, because I keep having to change work schedules and all sorts of stuff. And I've been busy and also trying to sleep every once in a while. All right. I'm also trying to sleep every once in a while, which I enjoy. I don't know how you guys feel about sleeping, but I enjoy doing it every once in a while. Just, just cuz. Why is this not logging in? Anyway, I hope everybody else having a wonderful day. I got to go to the doctor today, so had a lot of fun. I hate going to the doctor. I really do. But I had to. I had to. My knee hurts. My knee hurts all the time. My knee hurts all the time, which is not fun. But anyways, y'all, if you guys still support Trump, you guys can hit that request button, or you can call in on the number that's above my head, and we can start getting some conversations. I've seen like 3 or 4 people call, but I just didn't have the phone lines open yet. So, yeah, if you want to call now, that's the best time. Ryan, thank you so much for becoming a super fan over there. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I don't know how you weren't. That's crazy that you weren't, Ryan. I think that's kind of nuts to me. But hey, here's what. Uh-oh. Let me reconnect. No, unfortunately, it's not a welcome to 40 gift. It's I was in a really bad car accident a while back, and because of that, I'm getting the effects of it later. If that makes sense. Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much all it is. It is my freaking. I was in a really bad car accident, which ended up with a whole bunch of different back problems, which ended up affecting my knee, which ended up affecting my other knee. But hey, I can still walk. I can still use it. I can still. Why is this phone not ringing? Why is my speakers on mute? What happened? Sorry, my stuff's all messed up. People are calling and I can't even hear it. There it goes. Hello, how are you?
Oh my God!
Hello, how are you?
Hello?
Hi, how old are you?
Yuri or Yowie?
How old are you?
Yuri or Yowie?
All right. We are off to a great start. We are off to a great start. That people who don't know how to raise their children, but that's okay. Yeah, just kids playing on the phone. Remember back in the day, we didn't have phones to like play around on and stuff. We actually had to go like, experience life and stuff. It's crazy. Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
Awesome. How old are you?
I'm 30.
Awesome. Do you still support Trump?
Yes, but I'd like to make a disclaimer. I'm not American.
I know.
Yeah, from my voice. Matter of fact is I've never been to the United States. And
Then why do you care about Trump?
well, American politics influence all the world, including my country.
Okay. Well, sir, I'm sure whatever country you're talking about has its own problems, and I'm going to leave you to them. Hello, how are you? All right. I'm just... Like, Russia has its own problems, bro. All right? We know Russians love Trump, all right? Not surprised. We all read, the Mueller report. We all read all that stuff, right? We already know. Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. How old are you?
35.
Awesome. Do you still support Trump?
Of course.
That's a strange reaction, but okay. Why is that?
So he's probably the best president of my lifetime.
Kimberly, thank you so much for the membership. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. He's the best president of your lifetime. What's made him the best president of your lifetime?
Getting rid of all the illegals for one.
Getting rid of all the illegals. And how does that rank him amongst other presidents? Because if you want to be completely honest with you...
Biden let 20 million and just...
Well, sir, Donald Trump didn't even deport as many people last year as Joe Biden did in 2024. And he's nowhere near the numbers of Obama. So if your qualification, sir, if your qualification,
he's at 3 million right now,
sir,
and then that's on top of 12 different states not letting him go into different prisons and jails for ICE detainers. So the other presidents didn't have to worry about that because under Obama, all the Democrat-ran cities were giving away ICE detainers back then because back then the Democrats actually believed in not letting illegal immigration come in, but now they want to just flood the borders and let everybody come in. That's the big difference.
Sir, if your qualifier is he is the best president because he got rid of people that were here illegally, then Donald Trump is about last in presidents in your lifetime. Okay, if that's your... Sir, I didn't make the qualifier. You made the qualifier. I asked you... No, listen. We're going to play the listening game here, okay? 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, okay? We're going to play the listening game here.
Go fuck yourself, you piece of shit.
So I'm going to need you to... I understand you're very, very upset, sir, okay? And if I was a supporter of Trump, I would be also. But I'm going to need you to be able to have a conversation here. And for that to be able to happen, it is going to require that I'm going to be allowed to respond to the things that you say and without you crashing out, okay? Perfect. I appreciate that. Sir, I didn't make the qualifier. You made the qualifier. Your qualifier was that he got rid of all of the illegals. He doesn't
he's working on it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay? Does not change what I'm saying. Okay? So no reason to cut me off.
I didn't say he was the best just because of that. I said that's one of the things.
I know, and that's the one we're addressing, sir. We can go to the next points after. But see, it's a lot easier to address things one at a time instead of addressing all of them all at one time.
He's actually just where Obama pretty much is. 3 million people.
He's nowhere near where Obama is at.
He's at 3 million people.
This term, not even close.
Yes.
Not even close.
3 million this first year.
He's not even a quarter of 3 million.
He's at 3 million this first year.
No, he is not.
Doing the CBP Act to send people back home.
Sir,
so including all the CBP
All right, sir. This is your last chance. Be quiet. I am trying to treat you like an adult, and you are making it very, very difficult. Well, now you're muted. Okay? All right, cool. I'm glad you don't give a shit because I just did it. All right? I'm trying to have a conversation with you. He ran away. Guys, I'm here to have a conversation with you. Okay? If you're just here to crash the fuck out, then go do it on the MAGA lives. Okay? That's all you guys do over there is just sit there and crash out with each other. Okay? The numbers of deportations for Donald Trump last year was about 600,000. It was not 3 million. DHS hasn't said 3 million. ICE hasn't said 3 million. Literally no one has said 3 million. Okay? Let's use numbers that are logical. Okay? Hello, how are you? All right, goodbye. Let's use numbers that are like that work within this world and logic. Sound good? It's just a lot more fun for me. Hello, how are you?
Daddy, why'd you call me the N-word yesterday?
So let's put that into the calculator, right? So 3 million people divided by 365. So that means they were deporting 8,219 people a day. 8,000, so over 8,000 people a day, which is pretty wild since Stephen Miller's goal was 3,000 deportations a day, right? And Stephen Miller came out and said, it's crazy how we're not hitting that number, and has talked about how bad ICE is for not hitting that 3,000 number. Interesting. Hello, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How old are you?
21.
Awesome. Do you still support Trump?
Yes, sir, I do.
Awesome. Why is that?
Well, my family, we're in the cattle business, right? And since he's been, the cattle prices has just been going up for us, and it's actually doing very well for us. And I know I'm pretty sure he's about to get rid of property tax or something like that. I'm not sure, but I know that
He just hung up. I don't know what is going on here. First of all, full lie, because cattle farmers are furious. But even if it was, cattle prices, I'm sure, are going up because beef is at like an all-time high because Trump has fucked the beef industry completely up. I don't even remember what the other thing he said was. Yeah, I'm sure cattle prices are nice and high, but Donald Trump also can't get rid of property taxes because property taxes belong to the state. So just thought I'd let you know that. Hello, how are you?
Daddy, why are you running away?
Hello, how are you? Interesting. It looks like we have the Smart Magas in here today. They're doing great, by the way. Hello, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How old are you?
I was just 17. I'm just tuning in. I saw your thing on
How old?
YouTube. 17.
Oh, I'm sorry. You
No,
got to be at least 18 to be on the live. I appreciate you. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, man. Are you doing this live video?
Hi, how are you? How old are you?
Yeah. Hey, are you doing the live video?
How old are you?
Oh, I'm 32.
Awesome. Do you still support Trump?
I do not.
All right. Well, then thank you. I appreciate you. We can't get through the first two questions today. Those are always very strange days to me. When we can't get through the first two questions. How are you? How old are you? Do you support Trump? It's just always very strange to me. Hello, how are you? Hello.
I eat ass.
What are you saying? Yeah, I think it must be one of those like thirsty Thursdays where people start way too early. It must be one of those thirsty Thursdays where people start way too early. Actually, whenever I'm not on my main account, it always seems to do that for a second. Hello, how are you? Hello? Do you know how a phone works? Guess not. Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm excellent. How old are you?
31.
Awesome. Do you still support Trump?
Yes.
Awesome. Why is that?
Well, he doesn't promote LGBTQ stuff to children.
He doesn't promote LGBT stuff to children. I would hope not. He's not LGBT, nor should he be allowed around children.
Right. Nor should people promote LGBTQ stuff to children.
Well, Donald Trump is literally in the Epstein files, so he's doing a lot worse to children than promoting LGBTQ stuff, sir.
All right. So it doesn't really prove my point, but
well, it does prove your point, sir, because it's a contradiction. Because for some reason, your real concern, sir, sir, I was in the middle of a sentence, sir. Okay, sir. I think when it comes to should children learn things about LGBTQ plus, or should children be on Epstein's sex island? I think that the LGBTQ one is pretty low hanging fruit, as opposed to Donald Trump, who's currently protecting people that had children on Epstein's island. Don't you think?
Oh, is he protecting? How is he protecting people?
By not releasing all of the files.
Oh, so every other president also protected people? So why does it matter if it's Donald Trump?
Because there's only one of those presidents that's in them.
Yeah, and he's the only one that's ever released files.
Because he was ordered by the Congress to do so after the investigation was over. Sir, I'm confused. Does Biden not releasing the... Hold on. No, sir, I just have a question. Maybe this is clarifying, okay? Does Biden not releasing the files make Trump being on Epstein's island okay?
No, you're saying...
No, it doesn't?
That Trump hiding the files and hiding stuff about children.
Yeah.
That's what you said. You said him... But he's the only one that's released any files.
Yeah, sir, he's the only one that could release files.
If it wasn't for him saying it's okay.
He's the only one that,
obviously
sir,
controlled by Trump, right?
he's the only one that could have released the files.
Okay, so no one else could have released the files. Why?
Because it was an ongoing investigation, and you can't release things during an ongoing investigation. Not to mention every other. Hold on, sir. That wasn't the whole. That wasn't all of it. Thank you. Okay. It was an ongoing investigation, and no, Donald Trump ended the investigation when he came into office. Okay. So that's number one. All right. See, now you made me lose my train of thought.
So any president could have done that.
No, because it was an ongoing investigation. Then Trump came in office, and then it wasn't.
And why then?
Because it was over, I guess. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, man, sounds good. You can just pretend like no other president could have dropped the files when any other president.
If you want to be completely honest with you, if you want to be completely honest with you, if you want to be completely honest with you, I truly do not give a fuck who could have released the files. All I know is that there's some of them released. And hold on, no, sir, you don't know what I'm saying because you don't know what I'm saying because you didn't let me finish my sentence. You don't know what I'm saying, sir. You don't know what I'm saying, sir. You don't know what I'm saying, sir. You don't know what I'm saying because I was in the middle of my sentence, sir. You don't know what I'm saying because I was still in the middle of my sentence.
You said it,
sir. Can you not hear me, sir? Sir. You can't know what I'm saying if you never let me finish sentences.
Did you not say Trump's hiding people on the Epstein list?
Yes.
Or protecting people?
He is.
Child predators?
He is.
All right. So how so?
I was trying to explain it, but you have to let me finish a sentence.
Okay.
Sir, did you not? How old did you say you were?
I'm 31.
You're 31 years old. You do realize it's like kindergarten when we learn how to have conversations with people, right?
Dude, you said Trump's protecting them by not releasing the files.
Sure, that was like 20 sentences ago. We're on to the next part, and I'm trying to explain it to you, but you won't let me. Can you please try to have the self-control of a goldfish and allow me to finish a sentence?
All right, dude.
All right, I know it's going to be rough for you, but I'm going to try really hard. All right, perfect. I appreciate that. So before Trump came in, it was during an ongoing investigation. Not to mention the files were owned by the DOJ, and every other president since Nixon up until this current administration has said the DOJ can run independently. okay, and is not going to be influenced by the executive because they don't want the appearance of impropriety that the executive or the president, right, is running the DOJ. And again, that's been ever since Watergate, right, in order for there not to be confusion in that. Donald Trump came in and said not only, right, is the investigation for Epstein over because Ghislaine Maxwell went to jail, right, which was not his call, but the Department of Justice, regardless. But anyways, he's also said after that I am in charge of the Department of Justice. He said, I am in sole control. It's not Kash Patel. It's not Pam Bondi.
Right.
It's no one else
Yep.
but him,
Agreed.
right? So Joe Biden never said that. He let the DOJ run independently. So it wouldn't have been on Joe Biden to release the files. It would have been on the head of the DOJ to do that. As opposed to Donald Trump, where it actually does fall under him because he made himself that person. He totally could have left it. Right? He totally could have left it, but he chose not to. But regardless of any of that, sir, I truly don't care. If Biden could have released them, then fuck Joe Biden for not releasing them. Doesn't bother me.
Right.
If Obama
Exactly.
could have
So
released them, then fuck Obama for not releasing them.
Well,
None
good,
of
but you can't say
none
Trump,
of them.
You can't say Trump
I don't.
hiding those people and protecting
Yes,
those
I
people.
fucking can. And if Biden was
you
hiding them,
can't,
then
because
fuck
he's
him for
the
that.
one that
And
he-
if Biden is
Okay.
hiding them, then fuck him too. I really don't give a shit. It just means he's also
You
hiding
wanna know
them.
Another reason I support Trump?
Nope,
You wanna know
because I'm
another
still
reason?
on
Well,
this
first of all-
reason.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So if Biden could have done it, then fuck him. He's hiding them too. If Obama could have done it, then fuck him. He's hiding it too. But the one thing that all those people, the one outlier to all three of those presidents is the newest release of the Epstein files had Donald Trump in there over 3,500 times. Okay.
Yeah.
It didn't have
You should
Obama
get-
in there.
you should
It
get
didn't have
prosecuted for
Biden
that.
in there. It didn't have any of them in there. Okay. It just had Trump.
Right.
Your turn.
So, yeah, he should get prosecuted for that. But to say he's hiding that he's protecting those people would be a false statement. But second of all, like I said, I say also fuck anyone that promotes LGBTQ to children under the age of, I don't know what age, but anyone that's considered a children, I would say fuck those people too.
Well, sir, I am
Especially-
100% okay with that as long as you're okay with making sure that we also don't tell them about straight people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I don't think you
Yeah,
should be
so-
talking about relationships to children.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
if
no, that
so if
makes
like
sense.
yeah, so if
But
they have
there's
like
no-
a
there's
if
no
they have like
straight
a
pride month.
yeah, so if they have a
There's no
woman
straight
that's a
pride and,
teacher,
like,
yeah.
you know?
So if they have a woman that's a teacher, she can't say that like my husband's coming or ever mention that she has a husband or that husbands exist. Right?
I think that's a little bit different because
No, it's
isn't
not.
that natural? Isn't that
What is that?
natural?
Isn't that
to be married
natural?
man and a woman?
No, natural
Yes,
is
isn't
all
a
of
man and a
them.
woman the
Being
natural
gay is
marriage?
also natural.
I guess you could say it's natural, but isn't a straight marriage the most natural marriage you can have?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
There is not
Right,
no
that-
such thing
that
as
makes sense.
most natural. The words most natural
Okay, so-
doesn't
yeah,
even that's not even a
called-
real
it's called
sentence.
biology. That would make it most natural. Is biology.
Nope.
and what
Biology
most species
is
in the world are between a man and a
sexuality
woman.
is
So that
sociology,
would
not
make it most
biology.
natural. If most animals are due between a male and a female, then that would make it most natural, in my opinion. So if you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah,
But
that's not an
why I say
opinion,
between a man
sir.
and a woman is most natural.
Yeah,
that's how you procreate.
that's not
So that
not
would
a.
make it most natural. That's what we were built
All
for.
right, you let me know when you're done, okay?
Yeah, I'm done. That's what we were
Well, I
built
keep
for.
trying to
There you
respond
go.
and you keep just starting to talk again.
Sorry.
Again,
That was all my
kindergarten.
points.
Okay?
Cool.
Cool. There is
Yep.
no such thing as most natural. This is also not biology. Biology is people have arms and legs and, a throat. That is biology.
Mhm.
Who people are attracted to is sociology, not biology. Okay? And there are
Right.
tons of animals that are gay, so therefore it is also natural. Even if it's in the minority, just like it is in humans, right? Even if it's
But
in the
I'm saying
minority,
most
I'm
natural.
still talking.
Okay.
Dude, like, is this how you live your life? You must
Nah,
be
I'm just
really not fun at parties.
I mean, it's not a party. This is a debate about.
This is
what's
not a
more
debate, sir.
natural than a
This
male
is
and
not a
female
debate, sir.
relationship.
This is not a debate, sir,
Oh.
because in a debate, you would let me
Well,
finish
it's not
points.
a party.
Okay?
Okay.
In a debate, you would let me finish points. Yeah. So if in nature there is a minority that is gay or LGBTQ plus, and there is the majority that is straight, and in humans, there is also that same thing. There's a majority that are straight and a minority that are gay. Then that is just called natural. The entire thing around it is natural. The percentages are natural, right? There's not a more natural or less natural. Either things are natural or things are not natural. You can't have a more natural or less natural.
Yes, you can, because that's what we were genetically. That was what, not the word genetically, but that's what we were made for.
No.
That's what we were made for. That's why we have a male part and they have a female part, because that's what it was for. I'm not saying that.
What does
can't
male
be
part
like a
or
guy. If you
female
like a
part have to
guy,
do with being gay?
Because it's natural. I'm not saying that you can't like a guy or be married to a guy. That's not natural to
It
be
is
a
natural.
male and a
If it
female.
happens
That's
in nature,
natural because
sir,
that's how
sir,
life
if
works.
it, sir,
Life-
if it happens in nature, it's natural.
Hey, dude, if life doesn't work without a male and a female, then how is that not the most natural thing, dude?
I just explained it to
If
you.
life can't exist without a male and a female, then I don't understand.
Sir, there's
how
tons
could that be
of
the most natural thing.
different species that don't exist, and that's also natural.
What?
Yeah, there's tons of species that just don't exist, and that's also natural. So if naturally through attrition, humans stopped existing because they stopped having babies, that would also be natural because that happens in nature.
But also, I don't know how you can argue this point because I'm not.
I literally
necessarily
just
arguing
did. How about
that
you
gay is
respond to what
wrong.
I said?
Right. Well, I am responding to what you're saying, but so you told me that most, maybe not just a second ago, but a second ago you told me most of people are straight, and then there's a small percentage of gay. So wouldn't that just be towards my point? Doesn't that
No,
just correct what I'm
because
saying?
sir, maybe this is an understanding. I don't think maybe you just don't understand what the word natural means.
Yeah, sure, but
And I think maybe that's the problem. See, I'm explaining how things are natural, and you're fighting against me. But maybe you just don't understand what the word natural means, and that's the issue here. Okay. Do I need it? Do I need to put up the definition of natural for you, and then we can go from there?
Yeah, here, I'll look it up right now. I got it for you. You want to look it up?
Well, I was just saying, if you don't know what it is, I'll help you out.
I got it right here.
What is it?
It's right here. Existing in or caused by nature.
There you go. So anything that exists in nature is natural.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So if gay exists in nature, it's natural. That's it. There is no more natural, less natural. There's no here, there's no there, there's no, oh, it's skewed to more. No, it's just natural. That's it.
How about the word I'm looking for is the right relationship, I guess. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but yeah, natural is the word I'm looking for also, because there wouldn't be a female part and a male part if that wasn't the most natural.
No, literally, you
relationship
need
between a
female
man and
parts
woman.
and male parts to make gay. Yeah, if there was no male or female parts, then gay wouldn't exist. So literally, the existence of male and female parts is literally what creates the ability to be gay.
Right. Yeah, I got you. So
the existence of male and female parts in nature literally causes the existence of gay.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. You can debate about the word natural and if I'm using
I'm
it
not
correct,
debating it.
but
You defined
I don't
it.
think. Right, but yes, and caused by nature is man and woman having babies. That's natural. So
And
if
the
man
male and the
can't have a
female
baby,
and
that's not as natural. So that's not caused by nature.
Do animals have sex for just feeling and not for procreation?
No, they pretty much just have.
No, not pretty much. Does it happen in nature?
It does happen in nature for fun.
There you go. So therefore, it's natural.
Basically by
Okay.
monkeys only.
Does the inability to reproduce happen in nature?
I don't know. Sure.
Yeah.
What?
Then it's natural, right?
Yeah.
Do animals that have that are gay? Does that happen in nature?
I don't know how many animals
Homosexual,
even are gay, dude.
It doesn't matter, sir.
I don't
If
know
there's
how many-
one,
I don't know how
it's
many.
natural, sir. Sir, if there's
If
one,
there's
if there's
that's an
one,
outlier.
it's natural.
Right, but it doesn't mean that would mean it's less natural than the other.
No, it means it's
Because the other
natural.
ones are
It's not in
all
the
the
majority. It means
I
it's
get what you're
natural.
trying to
It means
say,
it's not in
but
the
I don't
majority.
think you're getting
No,
what I'm
you
trying to
just
say.
do not understand the word
You're
natural
arguing the word natural. You're not really
because you
arguing
don't know
in
what
that
it
sense.
means. I truly wish we could stop arguing about the word natural. It would really make this conversation work a lot better, but you just truly cannot grasp the idea of what the word natural means, so we're still on it. Okay? Instead of just realizing that natural is not what you're trying to say it is, okay? I think maybe you're looking for the word maybe common or the majority.
I would say common also.
That those are all words you can use, but those all fall within. But natural just means it happens in nature. That's all.
Right. I get what you're saying, but maybe I'm not using the right word, but I think we're talking about LGBTQ in schools, and you're saying as long as they don't promote straight people and someone can't say, oh, my husband's at home, but that's life. Someone should be able to say, oh, I wasn't my husband at home, because that's real life. To promote something about gay sex to children, that's different. You should be able to promote straight to children, and not promote because you're not really over here telling them what to do. You should just let them choose. But to promote something other than that is unnatural. You can manipulate these children, and I don't agree with that. And the previous party was all about that. They were all okay with anything having to do with LGBTQ. And I'm not okay with that.
Yeah. So first of all, let's start with this. Who controls curriculum in schools?
Well, it used to be the government, right?
Well, it's always the government. Which part,
too?
sir?
I don't know, that Department of Education.
Which Department of Education?
I don't know, dude. I'm not a guru here.
Okay, cool. It's the state. The state school board controls curriculum, okay? The federal government does not control curriculum in any way, shape, or form, okay? So the federal government literally, and I mean literally, does not have the ability to do what you're saying. So you saying that the previous administration did it, they don't even have the ability to. But even more further on top of that, sir, to continue on with that, teaching freaking homosexuality in any type of curriculum in any school in any state across the United States never fucking happened, nor was sex taught in any way outside of in high school, like sex ed classes or as a biological thing. Sir. Except for in high school under like biology classes when we have to teach about sex. So none of the stuff that you were saying has ever happened. Okay. What you're really just saying is you don't want to teach kids that gay people exist. And that's what I was saying. If you don't want to teach people that gay people exist because you're afraid of it because of a sexual basis, then I am afraid of it for straight people on a sexual basis also. So I am totally cool with it. Okay. As long as we're just not allowed to talk about straight or gay, and we're not allowed to talk about it at all, because I don't think we should be teaching sex to elementary school kids, period, regardless of who they're having sex with.
Right. So they shouldn't have an LGBTQ flag in their elementary schools then, right?
Does a flag teach you how to have sex?
It's a sexual oriented.
Nope. It just doesn't teach you how to have sex. Doesn't teach you anything about sex.
Doesn't teach you how to have sex, sexual oriented flag.
It's not a sexual oriented, sir. If you see a rainbow flag and think about sex, then I want to let you know something, okay? And that's that you can come out of the closet whenever you want, big dog. Because I have seen that flag a million times in my life, and not one time have I ever looked at it and went, that means sex.
Shouldn't promote sex in elementary schools at all, but you're over here saying gay pride flags are okay though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, Dad. All right, you're
because you can be gay and not be having sex, just like you can be straight and not be having sex. If you're in it, sir, when did you realize you were straight?
It's all about teaching kids that instead of liking girls, they like boys or whatever.
No, it's all about teaching kids that you can like whoever you want. No,
I thought it's all about talking to children about straight or gay stuff. I thought we agreed to that.
Sex.
Yeah, I
said sex, not stuff. Sex. Sir, when did you know you were straight?
Dude, gay is sex, dude. What are you talking about?
When did you know you were gay? I'm sorry, I thought you were straight. When did you know you were gay?
I don't know. I'm still figuring it out, dude.
You're still figuring it out? Sounds like it, sir. So I'll give you more of my thing, right? Like I knew I was straight like my whole life, right? So like even when I was like really little, I really thought girls are pretty and I liked them. But it wasn't sexual. I was still straight and I wasn't having sex with anybody, okay? Simple as that. So being straight did not equal sex. Same thing happens if you're gay. If you're gay, you can like people and be like, oh, I got a crush on somebody of the same sex, right? Doesn't mean you're gonna go have sex with them because you're in fucking elementary school.
You are very hypocritical because you literally just said earlier, I don't think they should be talking about, oh, I just see my husband at home. And you're over here saying they should have gay pride flags in the school, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
No, sir. I don't believe
you
that, sir.
sound psycho, bro.
That's not what I said. And so maybe again, this is
You
where
did say
this
that
is why
earlier,
it's
but
this is why
okay.
it's really important, sir. This is why it's really important to let me finish sentences because it makes a lot more sense when you hear what I say in context. Sir, I said I am only cool, okay, with you taking all gay things out of school if you take all straight things out of school. What I would rather have, all right, is that we teach that everybody exists, all right, and that all sorts of people and who you love is who you love, and it doesn't fucking matter whether they're a boy, whether they're a girl, what they identify as, what the color of their skin is. I don't care about any of that stuff, right?
So why do you have to promote it then?
It's not promoting it to say people exist, sir.
Dude, how is it not promote? It's not.
I'll give you an example. I went to Christian. I went to Christian. Sir, I went to Christian school.
About the LGBTQ flag is sexual preference.
You say the LGBTQ class? Man, this dude's not very good.
I'm not even sure.
Sir,
it's
sir.
trans. It's gay.
Let me ask you a
it's
question.
Lesbian.
Let me ask you a question.
all
Sir, be
different
quiet.
kinds of
Sir, be
sexual
quiet. Sir,
preferences,
please.
bro.
You're just making yourself
And
sound
you're
sad.
talking about being okay with promoting that to elementary school. Okay, dude.
Shh.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question, okay? So I went to a Christian school my whole life growing up, okay? Are you a Christian?
Yep.
All right, you are. Perfect.
Catholic.
Perfect. So I went to Christian school my whole life growing up, from the time I was in preschool all the way into the time I graduated high school, right? Christian school the whole time. Now, in school, they taught me about Islam. Is that the school promoting Islam?
The school, if they're, I don't know, I don't agree with that, but I don't know what, I forgot what you were asking.
No, my very Christian Bible teacher, okay, who was an ordained pastor, a practicing pastor, okay, in a non-denominational Christian church, right, who was very, very much a Christian, all right, taught me about Islam. Is that him promoting Islam to me?
Not necessarily, no.
But he taught it in school, so it had to be. According to your logic, anything that is taught in school must be a promotion of that subject.
Well, I would say, first of all, I don't agree with it. I mean, I guess, let me say this. If he's teaching you about it, then that's fine. That's religion. That's what he's teaching you about. But if he's teaching you about whose sexual preference you have,
sir, please. I know that you are super, sir. I know you're super involved in freaking genitalia. Just calm down for a second, okay? We've taken a little side street from this. I'm gonna need you to stay with me, okay? Thank you, sir. My very Christian pastor was not promoting Islam. He was just teaching me that Islam exists, okay? Because it's important for this world, for children to know people that are not like you exist. It teaches things like tolerance, right? It's very, very important to teach tolerance. And if kids are taught there's a right way and a wrong way, then they are not tolerant of other people. And more importantly than that, if for the kids that are gay, right, they are taught that how they are, right, the person that they are is wrong. Right? And that's horrible because we shouldn't have anybody, regardless of how you feel about their sexuality, being taught that they are wrong, they are physically wrong, or they are mentally wrong because they are attracted to a certain type of person, right? Whether that's another man, another woman, whether that's straight, that's gay, whether that's any of those, okay? So all that a gay flag says is, hey, gay people exist, and that's totally cool, man. And if you are that, that's totally cool. And if you're not, that's also totally cool, okay? It doesn't a gay flag doesn't have a picture of a freaking wee-wee and just like freaking just, this is where you put it. It's just a fucking rainbow, bro. And I'm telling you, if you feel that type of way about a rainbow flag, then truthfully, dude, man, like just come all the way out of the closet, big dog. Like you're so far in there, you see Narnia,
children,
okay?
I do have a problem actually when it comes to children, and that I do, yes, it's a big problem actually because children are easily influenced. in regards to your point,
I grew
about
up
your
in
teacher,
California, sir. I grew up in California. We had
that's fine. Hey,
gay
dude,
flags
you're
all
acting
over.
like, let's not pretend that gay people are not accepted or something like that, dude.
I didn't
Okay?
say anything
So, like,
about it being accepted, sir.
yes, okay,
You're
but you're
saying
talking
that
about
a flag
no
is
one,
making
no one,
people gay. That is
no,
literally what
no
you're telling me
one.
right now. You are telling me that a flag makes people gay.
Having a flag as a young child could potentially make
You
them
are
gay.
literally telling me that a flag makes you gay. Sir, a
Yes.
flag makes you
It
fucking
could
gay the
happen.
same way me seeing a
It could
Norwegian
convince a
flag in
child to do
fucking
that.
history made
It
me
could,
Norwegian, bro. Like, are you
could it
fucking
not
kidding me?
influence a child? Could it not influence a child?
No.
It couldn't influence a child, right?
What are you saying? If you,
have a
sir,
gay flag and
sir,
you're telling them about that stuff.
sir. So you're telling me that you think if you had saw a gay flag when you were in elementary school, you'd be gay?
I don't know if I would be gay, but I know that if you taught me about stuff like that,
Bro.
who knows?
Bro,
Who knows?
I know, dude,
I don't know.
bro.
I know children are an easy influence.
Bro, I know like 10
Okay,
gay dudes
so-
and you are 9 of them. Holy shit, dude.
Right, all right.
Like,
So,
holy
so I guess-
fuck,
how about
bro.
this, then?
Like,
How
dude,
about this?
just be gay.
Trump is-
It's okay, bro. Like, for real, it's okay. Like, just fuck, dude. Just come out, bro. It ain't that serious.
Dude.
We're on the left over here, man. We're accepting. It's
I don't
totally
mind coming
cool,
out,
man.
bro. Like I
It's
said,
totally
I
fucking
have no
cool.
problem with
It's
gay, bro.
totally fucking cool, man. Just come out. This is a
Dude,
safe spot for you, bro. But
I'm
this is
open to it,
this
dude.
is
I'm
the
31
craziest
years old,
thing,
dude.
sir.
I'm just-
Sir, I saw so many gay flags, knew so many gay people, and was never even for a quick second gay because I'm not gay. Because that's not how it works, sir. Flags don't make people
dude,
gay.
We know you're gay, bro. You gay for sure. Hey, how
And
about
now
my
he's
last point
hitting
right
on me.
here?
Bro, just come out of the closet, dude.
Oh, we could tell the truth.
Bro,
But, hey,
you just-
whatchamacallit?
Bro.
My last point is this. Here's one you can't even argue about. So if you try to argue about it, it's kind of wild. But I'm just gonna say it. It's Trump is more transparent than the left presidents were.
More transparent?
Yes, sir.
He's
Very
literally, I
transparent.
mean, I guess if you
Most
mean like,
transparent, actually.
when you mean like he's
You know
robbing
what the fuck he's doing. You know what he's up to.
Can I speak?
Sorry.
Appreciate
You
you.
asked me what I
Yeah,
mean.
I guess when
I
he's
told you.
stealing in front of the American people and telling them about it, then yeah, I guess that is technically
Yeah.
more transparent. I don't think that's a good thing.
Transparency.
It's not a
Come
good
on.
thing.
That's a good thing. Transparency is a good thing, sir. And
Yes,
he's got
I
a
am
lot of
stealing
it.
$10 billion from the American people, and I'm telling you about it.
Shit, better than him not telling us about it.
No, it'd be better if he wasn't stealing the money.
TRAPNCREY. Transparency.
That's not even
Got a
how you
point. That's a
spell
bucket.
transparency.
Hey, that's a
Oh my
bucket.
God,
That's a
you're an
bucket. I get
actual
1
real
point.
stupid person.
Yo, I get 1 point right there, dude. That's one fucking point.
Any point you got, you lost by literally not knowing how to spell transparency. Oh my fucking God.
Yes, I know what the fuck going on, though. Transparency. Yeah, he's more transparent than Joe.
All right, I've lost enough brain cells on that idiot. Y'all, please make sure you guys hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We're starting a little late today, but we're still moving on forward. That was an actual stupid person. Beat, thank you so much for the $5. Said Epstein did deals with people that wanted to force sex change operations on kids. Yeah, fuck you, MAGA. Yeah, fucking straight up, Beat. Thank you so much. Freddie, thank you so much for the $10. I appreciate that. Beat, again, thank you so much for the $10. EFTA 01013384.pdf. This is the file I was referring to. Everyone should know about why this is because it shows why they've demonized trans been taught to kids for so long. We'll have to check that out later. I'll keep that one. I'll keep a hold of that. Maybe we'll bring that up later. Thanks a lot. Ziv, thank you so much. Said I'm supporting Trump because I am dumb and crazy. Yep, that should be that guy should get that tattooed on his head. Brilliant, thank you so much for the $5. Says marriage is unnatural according to caller. That is true, technically. Because animals don't get married. So there you go. Not natural. Winner. Lyra, thank you so much for the 672. I appreciate that. Y'all, please make sure you guys hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I appreciate you guys. We're going to keep this thing going, move on to the next caller. Betty, thank you so much for the $2 too. Conservatives love talking about sex with Polly. They truly do. They love it. Their favorite thing to do. Only the men, though. Hello, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Where you were born?
2007.
2000 what?
7.
Awesome. Do you still support Trump?
I'm more in the middle of it. He's done some maybe not so smart things and not a lot of good things, but he's done a couple of things which were decent, I would say.
That's a crazy fucking thing to say. To say that you're literally in between democracy and fascism, the law and unlawfulness, the Constitution and the destruction of it. How in the heck are you going to be in between those two things? You can't be.
Well, I would. Okay, so what's specific?
Do you believe the Constitution is the law of the land, sir?
The Constitution is the law of the land, yes.
Okay, Donald Trump breaks that at every freaking point in time. So if you're halfway there, that means you're halfway in between the Constitution not mattering and the Constitution being the law of the land. You don't get to be in between those two things, sir.
Well, I'm not. I'm a little newer to the politics stuff because I'm a bit younger than the last guy. But tell me, like, just give me like an example of just give me an example of something he did. I just want to know what you think
of something he did with what, sir. You're gonna have to be a little bit more specific than that.
Well, you mentioned he was like destroying the Constitution at every turn. I just want to ask, like, what exactly? I just want to know what your.
I mean, we can go on for a while on that, sir. I don't know if I have all night for all that. You want to start with just the First Amendment and go from there?
Yeah, sure. I'm interested in hearing what you're saying.
Okay, cool. He used the power of the government to get Stephen Colbert fired for saying things that he didn't like. Then he used his FCC commissioner to get Jimmy Kimmel fired for saying things that he didn't like. He literally had somebody deported just off of them writing an op-ed that he didn't like that went against his views. Now he is currently advocating for people not being able to protest anything that goes against his views. Not to mention the fact that if you want to see any type of question or whatever that he gets asked that doesn't have anything to do with something that he likes, like Susan Collins, no, what's her name? Yeah, Susan Collins. No, the CNN reporter. What's her name? I'll remember it in a second. But every time she asks him questions, he won't even answer it. He just goes and freaking goes off the freaking rails because he can't even fucking answer anything that comes from a Democrat. He just tried to he just arrested Don Lemon for exercising the freedom of press, right? Caitlin Collins. Thank you. Not Susan Collins. Caitlin Collins, right? Like, literally, he does this on every turn where he is just trying to constantly make sure that people's First Amendment rights aren't allowed, right? I mean, he freaking Alex Preddy got literally murdered in the streets by his own freaking government police, right? For freaking videotaping ICE agents, which is a protected right under the First Amendment.
Yeah. So actually, funny thing is, in one of my classes, I am actually doing a piece on the First Amendment, and I am mentioning a couple of things on the stuff Trump's done. What you said is actually going to be really helpful towards what I'm writing about towards the First Amendment. But like, the First Amendment should, like, everyone should have the right to say what they want, do what they want, say what they want, be able to protest what they want. I mean, like, as long as they're not being violent about it or they're not, like, impeding on other people's rights, which Trump is doing, which is kind of unfortunate that that he's doing that. And I totally agree. Like, but the thing is, like, also people who are also advocating for freedom of speech, Martin Luther King, he was freely speaking about what he wanted, which was civil rights, which is because this is the country of equal rights, equal opportunity. And I feel like it was unfair for him that he got killed for speaking what he believed in. It could.
What does that have to do, sir? What does that have to do with anything? Yeah. Just to be clear, like, sir? Who does the First Amendment protect you from?
It protects you from the government silencing your ability to speak freely, to protest freely, to write an article into a newspaper freely. Pretty much. And there's also the ability to be whatever religion you choose to be.
Yeah. So why are we talking about Martin Luther King? Because I don't think the government suppressed him.
Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech.
How did the government impede on his? Well, I mean, they impede on his freedom of speech consistently, but that was a race thing. We're talking about right now.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I can give a more frequent example. That's recent. I could give a more recent example that's probably a little more talked about that we can certainly discuss if you want to.
I just don't know. It just feels like we're going off on this realm. You're like, you said you were in the middle. I'm trying to find out how in the middle you are between the complete suppression of the First Amendment and your actual constitutional rights. And I don't know how you can be in between that. It doesn't make sense.
I'm not in. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense, sir. Sir, if you believe that the Constitution is the law of the land and somebody is in blatant disrespect of the Constitution, blatantly trying to go against it, and you're saying you're halfway in between that, then that means either A, right, you don't hold the correct position according to your own morals, or B, you don't actually believe it, right? Because you can't say I'm for the Constitution and then say I'm in between constitutionality and not constitutionality. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, I get where you're going with that. And I know it sounds like, my opinions are a little off because, it's like, it's a difference between, I believe in the Constitution and, all this stuff about the Constitution. But at the same time, Trump has done some stuff which is against the Constitution, especially the First Amendment, which you've mentioned about a lot about actually. And I totally agree that a lot of the stuff he's done is against the First Amendment because people are allowed to speak whatever they want.
Sorry. You were just going off on these like crazy diatribes, dude. And like you're not saying anything. And like I'm not trying to be a dick, dude. You're just not saying anything, bro.
I get that. I mean, I apologize for that. I'm new to this. Honestly, I wanted to call in. I wanted to debate about it.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything. You're just truly not. You're truly not saying anything, man. It's like you're just. It's almost like you're trying to talk inside your own head, but you're saying it out loud, right? And like to me, and I'm trying to have a conversation with you, and I can't because you're just having that conversation in your head. You know what I'm saying? So like,
no, I get that.
It's just like rambling.
Disrespectful. I don't want to come across as disrespectful to you. I don't think you're coming off as disrespectful. I was mainly did this just to converse about this stuff because this is politics is always a hugely talked about topic.
Well, sir, I'm glad to converse about all sorts of things, okay? But I am trying to talk to somebody that holds an opinion, right? And to try to talk about that opinion, and it doesn't really seem like you have one. Okay, like again, it just doesn't seem like you have an opinion. It seems like you're trying to develop an opinion, and you just don't have one yet. Okay, and so like,
yeah,
which is fine. I understand that you're trying to develop one, and I hope I can be a part of your educational tool in order to do that. But I'm not going to do that on the live because it sounds like you have a lot more thoughts that you need to figure out in your head before you can have a stance in order to challenge that stance. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Actually, you know what? I have a good one we could talk about because I remember you were talking about the Department of Education and all that stuff earlier with the last guy. This is what I think about like Trump. Trump's been trying to get rid of the Department of Education, which has been in what I believe a blatant disregard of the 10th Amendment. And Jimmy Carter thought, this would be a good thing. Have the federal government be in control of the schools. And being in a public school that has that in place, it didn't really make it any better. So I just want to know,
the Department of Education isn't in charge of schools.
Then who is?
The state school boards.
The state school boards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Most of what the Department of Education does is literally just give grants and things like Pell Grants. They do like things for, disabled children. They do things for like, school funding in order to make sure rural kids have the ability to go to school the same way that people in more urban environments do. They make sure your autistic kids can go to correct schools for them, or, make sure you can go to college with a grant or a student loan and stuff like that. That's what the Federal Department of Education does. It doesn't control what school you go to or what happens when you go to elementary school.
Yeah, and so if that's the case, why does the Department of Education exist if it's all in control of the states? It's just sitting there wasting our money.
No, it does exactly what I just said it did.
Okay.
Did you not hear what I just said it did?
No, I heard what you said. It gave grants, allowed kids to, be in the school and all that stuff. It doesn't have specific control over where you go, what you do in the specific schools. But I would say on more of a federal level, it's like the Department of Education was built in how I'm seeing it was built by Jimmy Carter to mainly be able to help out the school system. But this Department of Education really hasn't done a whole lot to help out in that sense, besides what you've talked about, obviously.
Besides all the really important things I talked about?
Yes, all the really important things you talked about, yeah. And
hold on, but how is that a violation of the 10th Amendment?
Because, well,
Sir, what's the 10th Amendment?
Sorry. Yeah, it gives it allows for individual state rights.
Yeah.
It allows for,
and if state school boards are already controlling schools through their school boards and they control curriculum, then the states still have the power. So not a violation of the 10th Amendment. Yeah.
But
the only people that suffer, sir.
If it's not a break of the 10th Amendment and the states have full control over the school system, why exactly does the department? Well, besides all the stuff you said,
because of all the stuff I said, sir. It's not besides all the stuff I said. That is the reason. The stuff I said is the reason. That's why it exists. So disabled kids can go to school. So people get a chance to go to college. They aren't rich.
Then why can't that also be a job of the states? Like the states can also do that too.
Because states have shown an incapacity to do it. Well, sorry, not all states. A lot of states have shown a complete incapacity to do it. And by all states, I mean red states. I mean specifically red states. I mean very specifically red states have set up their education systems where people aren't there to learn. They're there to I don't know what people in Alabama or Oklahoma do in the public school system. Okay? I really don't.
Do I? Because I only went to one state school. So I mean,
what state school did you go to?
I went to. It was in New Hampshire.
You went to New Hampshire, a state like New Hampshire, whose state does overwhelmingly fund schools, right? They do a whole bunch of the things the federal governments do. They do that also in the state, right? And actually what ends up happening is what the Department of Education does is it ends up funneling a lot of money from really blue states into really red states, okay? To help make sure that their kids who are actually smart and actually deserve to go to college can go to college, right? Because if it was left up to the states, then almost all of your kids going to freaking Ivy League schools would either come from overseas or they would come from blue states.
Is New Hampshire a red state or a blue state? Please, I just want to know.
I don't really know. I think it's a blue state, right?
I think so.
Yeah, pretty sure there. Here's what I'll tell you. Oklahoma is 50th in education. And instead of spending money in order to fix that education, they passed a whole bunch of bills to make sure that the 10 Commandments were put up in the classrooms. Right? So if we were just to leave it to the states, if they weren't spending money on education now, why would they start then?
I just blanked out for a second. Sorry. Let me drink my water real quick. All right, so let me just make sure I heard you correctly, just so I actually know what I'm talking about, and I'm not getting flamed by your chat because I know I'm watching it right now. I'm getting completely wrecked. But you said something about Texas, right? And it passing a law which has the 10 Commandments posted up into every single public classroom, right? Oklahoma, sorry. Oklahoma's a red state. And that was very obvious, especially in the recent elections. But why? Because why can't they? I mean,
because they're 50th in education. They are 50th of 50 states in education. They have an illiteracy rate in Oklahoma that's worse than most what we would call third world countries. Okay, the overwhelming most countries that you would be like, that is a war-torn country, and that is like not a good place, and they're like in civil war and they're starving. Those countries have a higher literacy rate than Oklahoma does. Okay,
Which is unfortunate. Which is very unfortunate in Oklahoma's case. But
yeah, and instead of prioritizing fixing that issue, now the kids will have the 10 Commandments on the wall, but also won't know how to read it. Does that really you think that's where the priority of the state should be, sir?
I really don't. In specifically Oklahoma's case, and a lot of the bottom 20, definitely not. They should be reading, writing, arithmetic. That's the 3 basic things that should actually be something that can, they should be able to teach that before they branch off and teach other stuff. I'm not saying it's a bad thing for them to teach religion. It's mainly that they should try to maybe, I don't know, like get more into the basics of just the knowledge that
Sure, but they're not doing that. They could do that now. They could funnel resources to schools. They're not doing it. Okay?
And that's their own fault.
It is their own fault, sir. But if we get rid of the Department of Education, then nobody's there to make sure the kids in Oklahoma that actually deserve to be educated get educated.
Then why isn't the Department of Education doing anything about
it?
They are.
Still the 50th. They're doing a whole bunch of shit, but they can't control what the curriculum is and the school standards are of the state because of the 10th Amendment. Just like you said.
Yeah.
So they do the best they can. But I'm telling you,
they're doing the best they. Yes,
sir.
The Department of Education may be doing the best they can. That's not stopping Oklahoma from making stupid choices.
Because it's not built to, or made to, or funded to, or manned to do that. That's not its charter.
Yeah, and we should definitely go down there and say, hey, this is what should be done. Are they going to?
So 2 minutes ago, hold on.
What?
So 5 minutes ago, you were telling me how the Department of Education shouldn't exist, okay? Because it's a violation of the 10th Amendment. Now, I am showing you how the Department of Education isn't violating the 10th Amendment because it's not going into these states and correcting their curriculum and education. And now you're arguing to me that the Department of Education should go in and do that to Oklahoma, which is a violation of the 10th Amendment. So a second ago, you just told me that we should get rid of the Department of Education because it's a violation of the 10th Amendment. And now you're advocating for the Department of Education to violate the 10th Amendment.
When did I say this?
Which part?
When did I say that the Department of Education should go down there? I said specifically, we, as in you and me, common people, non-political people, should be going down there and saying, hey, your education systems aren't working. You should
then fucking go. Why are you talking to me? Go talk to Oklahoma.
I don't need to go to Oklahoma.
You just said, sir, you said we, us normal people, you said we, us normal people need to go to Oklahoma and fix their education system. So I am assuming that means that you are buying a plane ticket tomorrow.
We doesn't necessarily mean me and you. It means the people of Oklahoma should be going to their state government, their local government should say, hey,
why?
This is an issue.
They're not smart enough to.
That's not going to, then they should still go in there. That doesn't mean
you're telling me the dumb people should go tell people how not to be dumb.
Everyone there is stupid. It just means the kids who are being taught today are stupid. It doesn't mean the adults there are stupid.
Yeah, sir. Those adults there grew up in the Oklahoma education system. So we're literally
not all of them.
The lower, sir, I don't know if you know this, but not a lot of people are clamoring at the door to move to Oklahoma.
I was born in Oklahoma.
Yeah, and you got out.
And somehow I got the 5th best education in the entire country.
You got out, and then you somehow, for some reason, don't want to go back. You are living proof.
Living proof of what exactly?
That no one's fucking smart as fucking, is trying to head back to Oklahoma.
I really, no, the thing is, because I really want to go back to Oklahoma just to find my birth mother. The thing is, genuinely, I don't think she wants to see me. And the thing that's unfortunate is, as much as I could,
You mean as much as you could, you don't want to live in Oklahoma?
Oh no, I do. It's mainly the tornadoes, really, if anything. But like, you know, I would love to. Oklahoma's such a nice place. Such
Bye.
a nice looking
Have
place.
fun.
I mean, alrighty. Regardless, what?
Bro, you and you said you were doing some like type of research paper and something like that on the Constitution and all that sort of stuff. You want to talk about the Department of Education. So you don't know what the Department of Education does. Okay. And then when I tell you what it does, you don't like what it does. Okay. Even though it does exactly what it's supposed to be doing. And it does it incredibly efficiently, by the way. I want to be very, very clear that the Department of Education what they do in comparison to the amount of people that they have and the amount of money they're funded is literally fucking astonishing. All right. But the truth of the matter is people on the right, including Donald Trump, including people like Mike Johnson and the leaders of these red states, they want to keep the people stupid. Okay. It is part of their game plan to get people to stay stupid. Okay. Because stupid people, okay, are easy to manipulate. All right. You would be so surprised how many people that I talk to on a daily basis, all right, that don't know how to tell whether something is factual, whether data is correct, whether research is correct, or even what real research looks like. And those are the people that come up and tell me crazy fucking numbers that don't even make logical sense, or, oh, they deported 3 million people last year, like things that don't even make logical sense, right? Because dumb people are easily manipulated, and the Trump administration wants to manipulate dumb people. So do Republicans in general. So when they get rid of things like the Department of Education, it's not because, okay, it's not beneficial. It's incredibly beneficial. It's incredibly beneficial to getting people higher educations. And higher education scares Republicans, especially the Trump administration. It scares them. Okay? That's why they are getting rid of it. And that's the end all be all. Because when people learn how to research, when people learn how to critical think, when people learn how to study and how to resource data and the scientific method, they don't vote for Republicans. They just don't. But anyways, I'm going to end on that diatribe and move on to the next caller. But I hope you have a good one. All right.
Yeah. I just wanted. Yeah. No. I think it was really interesting. It was really interesting talking to you. I enjoyed the conversation. I hope we can talk again about another discussion, maybe something different. But I think I really enjoyed this conversation. It's very interesting hearing a different side of things.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good, man. All right, you have a good one. Yeah. All right, y'all. Please make sure you guys hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to keep this thing going. If you guys like to support the live, I do have super chats, super stickers, memberships. We got a couple new members in there too. I really enjoyed that. Thank you guys so much for becoming members. And I think we had a couple gifteds too. Yeah, we got me over there with the gifted membership, and whatever this got, Mint. We're going to say Mint and Mint with the gifted membership too. I really appreciate that. I do have super chats, super stickers. We're almost done with the little live gift goal here. I also have pay links in the bio. So yeah, if you, they're all at Polypolitics. So if you'd like to support that, I really appreciate that. Danielle, thank you so much for the $5 says, have you seen the site they made for organizing the e-files? I'm hoping you have, so you can tell the chat because, you won't let me type it in here or chat. You can throw it in my Discord. I can throw it up there. And, we can get on that. So absolutely. Plaz, thank you so much for, it says Trump is king. Yeah, that actually really hurt my feelings. You know, it hurt my feelings more. Plasma. If you sent me like $20 in order to tell me Trump is king, that would show me you would own the libs so hard if you did that. Like, oh my God, you would own the libs so bad. I think you should do it. I think a $20 super chat that says Trump is king would really own the libs. This guy says trolling is next level. Yeah, sometimes it is. Mint also with the jewels. Delissa with the $2 says dump truck. I love the poorly educated. Yeah, he says smart people don't like me, and he wasn't joking. I really hope that guy owns the libs, dude. I really hope he does. Thank you so much, Delissa. That was a chat for everybody who supported. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I really hope he owns the libs and does that. God, that would hurt my feelings so bad. Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you?
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Who is this?
Nigga, you called me. Who is this? Call my phone asking, who is this? It's call me, ask who is this? You called me. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. I've been enjoying the show.
I'm glad. Do you still support Trump?
I still support Trump, but you can convince me not to, based on some things you said earlier.
What did I say earlier?
That Trump is against the First Amendment.
Yeah, I think I made that one pretty clearly obvious, right?
Yeah, look some stuff up, like, because one of the reasons you said was that Colbert got fired, but I looked it up. He's still hosting the Late Show.
He didn't get renewed. His contract wasn't renewed. He has a news show. I think it's on Netflix, though.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
So
It's on Netflix. Or it's on, I don't know. There's like 87 streaming services. I don't remember which one it is.
I hope he goes back to how he was on the Colbert Report.
I hope so, too.
How he was on the Late Show.
Hold on. So you liked the Colbert Report, but you like Trump? That's strange.
I used to be a Democrat.
Oh, and then you like what? Took a poison and became evil or something?
I'm schizophrenic.
Oh, well, then you're forgiven. So I have a little brother who's schizophrenic. He's a paranoid schizophrenic. And I will say, of all excuses to support Trump, that's the only one I'll take.
Oh, wow.
Yep. But we still hope to bring you back to this side. But of all the reasons to support Trump that I've ever heard in my entire long time of doing this, I'm schizophrenic is about the only acceptable answer. So I just want to salute you for that, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, man. But I am going to let you go. I'm going to move on to the next caller, all right?
Can we talk about the First Amendment a little bit more, like where he broke it? Because if you can convince me where Trump specifically got the Late Show to where it won't renew, then I will stop supporting Trump.
All right. Well, how about I just tell you where he did it with Kimmel, and is that the same, or does it just have to be Colbert?
We could go with Kimmel.
All right, cool. Donald Trump had his FCC commissioner threaten the host company, which was ABC, saying that after Jimmy Kimmel said something about Charlie Kirk that he didn't like, that either he could fire him, Kimmel, or we could do things the hard way, pretty much. I paraphrase that, but that's what he said. We can do things the easy way, or we can do things the hard way.
Oh. I see where with the Kimmel thing, I looked into that. It seemed like Kimmel said something that wasn't true.
Saying something that is not true does not give the FCC commissioner the ability to threaten to have them removed. If saying something that wasn't true was a violation of the First Amendment, then Donald Trump would be immediately removed and thrown in jail, actually. Because he says shit that's not true daily.
Yeah. What else did Trump do to go against the First Amendment? There are a few other things you listed.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. The Colbert one had to do with a merger that Donald Trump personally said he had to approve, which was the Paramount merger that after they came out of that meeting, Colbert was immediately not renewed after freaking Donald Trump approved the merger. There was the Columbia students. There was Alex Preddy. There was Don Lemon just recently where he was arrested for reporting inside of a church.
And then what other amendments did Trump break?
Well, he's definitely said things in violation of the Second Amendment. He's currently in violation of the, Fourth and Fifth Amendments, the 14th Amendment, the 22nd Amendment. And he's trying to end birthright citizenship. He's going against, illegal search and seizure. He said that Alex Preddy shouldn't have been bringing a gun to a protest, which, again, it wasn't a protest. And also, you're still allowed to bring a gun to a protest. So that's a violation of the Second Amendment. Not to mention, you also said that if somebody is if somebody has any any accusation of anything, we should take all their guns first and then go ahead and find out if they did it later.
Wait, say that quote again. I didn't catch it all.
Yeah, so say that somebody was like accused of a crime or something like that. Like say you were accused of, I don't know, domestic violence or something like that, or I don't know, name something, burglary, whatever, right? That the government should be able to come in, take all of your guns away, and then figure out whether you did it later.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which amendment is that in violation of?
The second still. Yeah. But well, kind of. It's not really in violation of the Second Amendment. That one's just a fun one. I like to tell gun nuts, to be completely honest with you, because that's not really a violation of the Second Amendment. It actually kind of makes sense to a certain point, but I just kind of find it funny. But anyways, man, I am going to move on to the next caller. I hope you have a good one, all right?
You too. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was just a fun one for me to say. It's really not a violation of the Second Amendment, really. But gun people normally think it is. Sorry, it's so crazy I have to keep up with notifications. Anyways, y'all, please make sure you hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I appreciate you. Hello, how are you?
Good.
Nope. Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing great. How old are you?
21.
Awesome. You still support 21?
Yeah.
Damn, you sound fucking 50, bro.
I'm kind of coming down with the flu a little bit.
No,
so
it's just a MAGA thing, dude. You guys all
But
sound
I'm
like
feeling
just
better.
like the completely like off ages. It's strange. Anyways, you still support Trump?
Yeah. I mean, I don't support every single thing, but I would say most things, yeah.
Yeah, you're just like pretty okay with like the fascist shit and stuff like that.
Well, I don't think he's fascist at all. What do you think is like the most fascist thing he's done?
The most fascist thing he's done? There's
Yeah,
not a most fascist thing anyone's ever done.
Well, I'm only asking because that's like a pretty, extreme thing to accuse somebody of. So
No, it's not.
I'm asking that.
No, it's not.
Or just like, I don't know, just like any example. What do you think?
Yeah, technically, "Make America Great Again" would be a fascist statement. To be completely honest with you,
Okay. Why do you think that?
because it falls under palingenetic ultranationalism, which is the definition of fascism.
Okay. Do you think that he's trying to communicate a message more to the American people that, he wants them to, experience the America that they all think that it is and how they want it to be, as in it being a good country, generally, with quality of life and, general happiness in life compared to, if they could live in any other country?
I mean,
So that's what I was
you
thinking
can
about.
say that, sir, but that doesn't mean that that's not what Donald Trump is doing. He's saying that, and I'm sure that people take it that way, but he's in no way doing that. I mean, since he's been in office, we've lost over 1 million jobs. The unemployment rate's the highest it's been since the COVID shutdown. Inflation has continued to rise. Cost of living is still through the roof. People still can't buy houses. It sounds like "Make America Great Again." His only actual point to that is get brown people out so it's more white again.
I mean, yeah, I'm actually, I know that's a massive issue. I'm actually, about to graduate college and, I'm not even close to even looking in the future as far as like buying a house. I know that's very far in the future if I even ever get lucky. I think that's really important too. But I don't know. It's just when I look at, like the main talking points of, in general with Republicans versus Democrats, I don't see how anything that the Democrats have done have worked. I mean, it was blatantly obvious in this last election. Most Americans voted for Trump, and I think that was for a reason. they saw Biden, how he was literally falling apart. He literally fell apart
Biden wasn't
on live
running,
TV
sir.
in front of the entire
Sir,
country.
Biden wasn't
Immediately dropped
running.
out.
Sir, Biden wasn't running. You know the biggest
What?
lie they ever convinced like a bunch of Trump supporters on is that somehow Trump was running against Biden.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Was Biden not running for
When
election?
people went to vote, no one could vote for Biden. You had the choice between a lively person who has served in multiple branches of the U.S. government, who has literally dedicated her life to public service, who has degrees in economics and law, who passed the largest hardest bar exam in the United States, okay, who's literally spent her life just trying to help American people. That's who you had the choice with, between her or a literal convicted felon who's adjudicated of rape, who stole $400 million from a children's cancer charity. And you chose chose the latter.
I can see that, but can we agree on how poorly she was able to communicate any of her messaging? I mean, do you remember the one of the last interviews she did? I forgot who it was with, but I think it was a CBS or ABC. There was an interview that I remember watching part of, and she was being asked questions, and she could not answer any question about any of her positions to any what degree as like a clear answer.
Sir, I watched Donald
And
Trump on the
I think
debate
that was
stage with Kamala Harris, where the first 7 questions he was asked, he didn't answer a singular one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole debate thing is another thing, because I think that's just a larger issue with how we do it.
No, but
It's
no,
done
sir.
completely
But what I'm
wrong.
saying is everything you just accused Kamala Harris of, Donald Trump did on the debate stage, and everyone saw it. And you have no problem ignoring it when it's Donald Trump. But if it's Kamala Harris, it's the end of the world.
Yeah, that's not exactly what I meant. What I meant was, like with Kamala Harris, she, like not in a debate. I'm saying like when she sat in front of a reporter. I think it was 60 Minutes. I don't remember what it was, but she was sitting with somebody one-on-one. She was being asked questions, like very clear questions about her positions on certain issues, and she would not answer any of them clearly.
Sir,
And
Donald
I
Trump
think
did
I
that
think
yesterday.
I think that was why many Americans didn't want to vote for her.
Well, then, sir,
Because of that.
I am telling you right now, if that is your reason for not voting for Kamala Harris, then you need to turn off Instagram or TikTok or whatever the heck you're watching these clips on, because Donald Trump did that all the way through the campaign and is still doing it to this day. Like, he literally just did it with Caitlin Collins this week, where every time he gets asked a direct question by a reporter, he just tells the reporter how much he hates them, hates their news network, and how they need to be discredited, and moves on. He won't answer the question. But Kamala Harris's 60 Minutes interview, if you actually watch the whole interview, she freaking kills that fucking interview. If you just watch little clips of it that freaking they put out, then yeah, it probably does look like that. But I watched that whole interview. She knocked that thing out of the fucking water. She went on Fox News, something that Donald Trump freaking wouldn't even. Donald Trump wouldn't even go on any news agencies that didn't meet his his type of his actual political side. Kamala Harris went on Fox News, right, and went to fucking battle with freaking Bill Barr, right, answering question after question after question after question, made him look like an idiot. You're going to tell me you think a literal freaking prosecutor and California's district attorney can't hold up to questions? Like, she literally made a career about that. Are you kidding me?
That was just from what I saw. But I mean, okay, how about this? If you could pick any candidate to swap out with Trump right now, who would you pick?
You. I don't care.
Any person.
Me, my Australian Shepherd. You think I'm fucking joking. You think I'm fucking joking, but I'm not, sir. Okay? Because here's what I'll tell you. Right now, I'm having a coherent conversation with you. Okay? Donald Trump can't have a coherent conversation. Donald Trump just recently said he was taking this really hard IQ test and was literally taking a dementia test and said it was really hard. Okay? Dementia tests aren't supposed to be hard unless you have dementia. Okay, I don't think you, if you were president, would make an entire police force, right? Make them the size of the literal Israeli military. All right. And then send them out in the streets to terrorize people and throw people in concentration camps. I don't think you would do that. I've been talking to you for just a few minutes, and I don't think you would do that. Right? I don't think that you would call somebody that gets shot in the back recklessly by that police department domestic terrorists. I don't think you would do any of that. Right? So just the fact that off these few minutes, I don't think that you're as bad as Trump is. So I'll take you right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Trump calling, all of the protesters, especially Renee Good, a domestic terrorist, I think that's way off the mark, right? But going on to, I guess we're going to go to the immigration, okay?
No, but sir, that's not even all of it. Donald Trump is currently sending his director of national intelligence. You know what the director of national intelligence does?
No.
Picture her as like the head spy. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, you like what the CIA does, right?
Yeah.
And then you have like the head of the CIA, right? Who's that person's boss. Right? Like the head spy. What do you think the director of national intelligence should be doing, like on a daily basis? Like what do you think she did this week?
You said you broke out. You said the director.
No, I'm just asking you, what do you think the head spy, the person that's in charge of intelligence for the entire country, somebody who's the head spy, what do you think that they should have be doing like on a daily basis? Like just honestly, like what do you think?
Well, whatever operations or whatever we have overseas on that, basically calling all the shots. I mean, that's
figuring out where we have where we have intelligence assets across the world, where our spies are at, I agree. See, I told you you'd be a better president, sir. You know where Donald Trump had the director of national intelligence this week? He had her in Fulton County, Georgia, stealing ballots from the 2020 election to try to prove that Donald Trump won it. The literal person who is in charge, of making sure that our nation is safe through intelligence from all across the world, from every country that's trying to harm the United States, that person was taking paper ballots in boxes to try to prove Donald Trump won an election. By the way, the most looked into election like ever. Not to mention, it doesn't even fucking matter if they were to find something, because who the fuck fucking cares? Because the election's already fucking over. He's already president again. Who the fuck cares, right? But she's there because Donald Trump ordered her to be. Right? I don't think you'd make that decision, right?
I mean, no, I disagree with that. I think that's a waste of resources, but
the FBI director was there too. Like, even if like that, at least, director of national intelligence, that's not even her jurisdiction. FBI, I guess that would technically be his jurisdiction. Shouldn't we just send, FBI agents there? Don't you think maybe like the director of the FBI should be dealing with like all of the things going on with the FBI, not just, one election that doesn't matter in Fulton County, Georgia from 6 years ago? Don't you think maybe he should be like, dealing with crime and shit? I don't know what the FBI director does. I'm not qualified. Feels like a lot more than just one singular, taking boxes away, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's a waste of resources. I don't think you should have done that. It's just, I'm not like one of those people who's like, oh yeah, like Trump is Jesus Christ and, everything he does is all good. Like, no, I'm not with that. I think that when it comes down to a lot of things that he does do and his like philosophy on things is things that I agree with, like smaller government, less taxes, things like that.
Donald Trump is at an all-time spending with the government spending right now. We are literally currently at the all-time spending of government spending ever in the history of the United States. And Donald Trump, just as this year, as 2025 ends, between his first term and this term, has added $12.6 trillion to the national debt. Okay, his first term, he added more than any singular president in American history in 4 years had ever added. He literally added a third of the national debt that America has ever accrued in his first 4 years only, and added another 4 trillion since he's been in. Does that sound like small government to you, sir?
I don't have those numbers in front of me. I can't, like be like, oh shit, like
I mean, I can easily pull them up. That's not a problem.
I believe you.
Okay, hey, can you please explain to me how it's smaller government? Okay, how about this? I was going to use a completely different example, but let's use this one, right? Who runs elections according to the Constitution?
Who runs elections?
Mm-hmm.
Well, technically, I don't know exactly how it works. Wouldn't it? I'm assuming there's some sort of chain of how it works where, you go to your local polling office, like a school or wherever you go, and then there's a chain to it where it goes somewhere to be counted. Like if you're voting for the president, right? I'm assuming that's how it works. I don't know how it works.
So it's actually in the Constitution. Elections belong to the state, even federal elections, right? The state runs their election. They inform the federal government. All right, makes sense. That's in the Constitution. Okay, so do you think it's big government or small government for the federal government, in violation of the 10th Amendment, right, to be interfering with states' rights by going into their election and stealing ballots from 6 years ago? Do you think that's small government or big government?
I would say, I mean, that would be classified, I guess, as big government, but I'm trying to understand. So you're talking about what you were saying before about how like how Trump is having the FBI director go
That was just a quick point. I just wanted to see if you would think it was big government or small government, because I think it's big government, right? Like I think that's big government. I don't think that goes very well with small government, right? But I'll give a lot more examples, right? Like how about I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with ICE. We almost went into immigration for a second, right?
Yeah.
Do you know, as far as a funding standpoint, IDF is being funded the same amount as the IDF? Or sorry, the ICE is being funded the same much as the IDF? Same amount as the IDF? Or the Israeli Defense Force, the Israeli military?
Yeah.
Like ICE is being funded at the same level as the entire Israeli military. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
To me, that sounds pretty big government to me. Right, like just being
that would be different from like I think that's a necessary function of the government, since ICE is federal police.
It was already they're not police. Let's be clear there.
As being like, oh, I don't want that. That's big government.
Okay, so what do you not want in big government?
Well, I would just say I don't think that. I think that the government, as far as like in the day-to-day of people's lives, should be involved as least as possible. I think that individuals have the best capacity to make the best choices for themselves, and I don't think the government has the ability nor should be able to make those decisions for people. If that makes sense.
No, because it doesn't, right? Because you're saying, I think that ICE should be as large as the Israeli military, right? Should go into states against the state's wishes.
Well, I was talking more like generally. I wasn't talking specifically about ICE.
Sir, ICE existed prior, right, to Trump. Trump is the one that made them so big. They existed prior. I'm not saying that immigration enforcement shouldn't exist, right? I'm saying when you're taking that force, making it huge, sending it into people's houses in violation of the Constitution, right? To against illegal search and seizure, right? Which again is big government, right? Because ICE has put out internal memos saying that they don't even need judicial warrants to break into your house, right? They've literally argued in court that racial profiling is necessary for their job, right? So they can racially profile you based on not only just your looks, but also the language that you're speaking or the accent that you have, or including also the color of your skin. Then they can sign their own warrant to break into your house, to arrest you, to send you to a detention center, right? Where there's no running water, or like limited running water, or you don't get to eat, right? Like that is a violation of personal rights. in my opinion, right? And I think the Constitution agrees with me, right? And so to me, there is no more big government than when the government can come to your house, racially profile you, sign their own warrant, break into your house, and disappear you to a concentration camp where you don't even get to talk to a lawyer, you don't get to talk to your family, you don't get to talk to anybody. I don't know how we get more big government than that right there.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. Okay, so why don't, here, pick a country from anywhere.
Sure, I used to live in Italy. We'll go with there.
Okay, Italy. Imagine you're from Italy. You're not a citizen here in the U.S. You sneak into the U.S.
Yep.
Let's say you go to, I don't know, Florida.
Can I switch countries?
Sure.
Yeah, I want to go with Thailand.
Thailand. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
Thailand. Imagine
Perfect.
you go to that you're from Thailand. You sneak into Florida. You swim all the way there. You're a really good swimmer.
Hold on, I'm
Okay.
from Thailand. I'm sneaking into the United States.
Yep.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yep.
Usually in Thailand,
okay.
they just marry some military guy and come over here on a visa, but that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. So imagine you go in there, okay. You don't talk to, like, you are able to sneak in there without any conflict, right? And let's say you get a job and then you commit the most heinous crime ever. Like,
Horrible.
Heinous crime. Let's say you murder 5 people in a row for doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, sounds horrible.
Just because you felt like it, okay? And now, and then you live with somebody else who is a citizen, and they have a house and all that. As far as ICE goes, let's say you're in charge of ICE and you have to go get that person, and in this case it would be you. How would you do it?
Well, I would do it the same way.
That would not cause any uproar or any protesting or anything.
Well, sir, first of all, uproar or protesting would not be happening if the Trump administration was going after somebody that murdered people. Okay? There would be none of that. Less than 3% of the people that they've apprehended or detained or arrested have any history of any violent crime. Less than 3%. Okay?
Well, how do we know that?
Because ICE reports on it, sir. It's public data on ICE's website. We can look at it. They literally classify every single detention from like high, right? High would be somebody just murdered 5 people, right? Violent criminal, right? I think there's 4 categories, right? Number 4 would be like, or number 3, I think it is. Number 3 is like high priority, committed a violent crime. Right? 0 is we have no record of this person ever jaywalking. Right? So like that data is open, right? Less than 3% have any record of violent crime. I think it's 2.7%. Okay? Less than 20% have any crime at all. Right? Like jaywalking, freaking petty theft, non-violent. 80% have no criminal record whatsoever. Okay? So how I feel about ICE or any other police force going after violent criminals, full force of the law. Go and fuck them up, dude. Bring in the tank, drop in a helicopter, zip line down, kick through the window, freaking hog tie that dude, make it look like freaking Bin Laden. Couldn't give a shit. Okay? But you know who I hope that happens to on everybody? Every person, regardless of their immigration status, if they murder 5 people. Because that's horrible. Because the law, when it comes to violent crime, is horrible and should be prosecuted to the extent of the law, regardless of immigration status. Right? If somebody murders 5 people, I want them to face the full extent of the law, regardless of whether they're immigrants or not, dude. Whether it's the FBI, freaking LAPD, ICE, freaking whoever it is, freaking your local sheriff's department. Go in and fuck them up, dude. But that's not who Donald Trump is going after. Okay? The entire point of Donald Trump's policy is to intimidate the fuck out of people, to scare people, right? To make people bend to their will, to scare people from ever wanting to come over, to scare. I mean, look at tourism like rates in the United States. Tourism rates in the United States are literally like plummeted. Like Vegas is hurting, dude. Like so bad. And other places that deal like mostly on tourism, right? Because Donald Trump's policies have attacked people that are legally here. They've attacked American citizens. He arrested and put in detention center 3,800 people under the age of 18, including 20 infants last year.
I did not. No, I mean, again, I don't have any of these numbers. This isn't something that I'm like super. I research heavily, so I don't have all the numbers, but I'm gonna trust you, whatever.
Yeah, and you can find that data like pretty easy. 3,800. Okay, with 20 infants. Okay, these aren't violent criminals, man. They're not hurting anybody.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think when ICE is, going after these people that did bring children, I think, I think that drastically complicates things because, let's say in that same scenario that, I brought up with that guy that committed a violent crime, and let's say that he has a child, but he doesn't have anybody else who will take care of him or, look out for him. What is ICE supposed to do?
That's not the scenario that's happening, sir. Sir, that's just not the scenario that's happening. If that was the problem, then we deal with that problem. Donald Trump's ICE literally grabbed a 5-year-old boy, right, off of his bus stop that was in his own driveway, held him hostage so they could check the immigration status of everybody in the house, right? Terrorizing a 5-year-old in order to find out the immigration status people. They didn't have a single piece of evidence whatsoever that anyone in that house had committed any type of violent crime or any crime whatsoever. Not only that, but they came here under asylum law, so they were legally here, right? And they held that 5-year-old boy hostage, right? Until they baited his father out. Literally arrested the father and took the little boy and the father and put him in a freaking detention center, a concentration camp is what it is. But put him in a detention center in San Antonio, thousands of miles away from his house, right? Who were legally here and kept him there for weeks. Weeks, a 5-year-old, weeks in a detention center, right? Who was here legally.
Like if they were legally there and ICE still arrested them and detain them and then move them to a detention center, then that's definitely wrong.
That's happening thousands of times a day.
They're gonna have a really nice lawsuit on their
hands.
That's
by who? Who's gonna sue, sir?
I bet
everybody's
sued.
Everybody's sued, sir. Everybody's sued. They haven't cared. The Trump administration doesn't care. They don't care if they get sued, dude. They don't give a shit. They literally got sued for racial profiling and argued in the court documents that it was necessary for them to racial profile. They don't care about a fucking lawsuit, dude. They don't give a shit. They fucking shot a woman in the fucking face, called her a domestic terrorist. They shot a dude in the back, an unarmed dude in the back who had his hands up, and called him a domestic terrorist.
I'm not sure, but didn't what was his name? Alex? Didn't he have a gun on him?
He is legal.
Carrying?
Yeah, which is legal. He had a concealed carry. He was permitted to carry that weapon that belonged to him.
So here's also what I'm having a hard time understanding, right? So if we kind of rewind back about, let's say, 10 to 12 years, right? When Obama was in office, he was doing this stuff a lot too. He was doing a lot of deportations and all that. So, and there was no uproar, there was no protests about any of that. So what's the difference between that and this?
All the differences are. There's all the differences. Like first of all,
and that like famous picture of that kid in the cage that when
fucking
Trump
horrible
was running for election.
Fucking horrible.
A lot of news outlets said that was from Trump's term, and Trump's ICE of that kid in the cage when that was from Obama's.
Yeah, that's fucking
administration.
horrible, dude. But you know what the
I
Trump,
agree.
you know what the Obama administration didn't have? An actual systematic process of separating children from families. They didn't have that. The Trump administration does. When the Obama administration was doing shit like that, okay, the left went nuts. They protested. They sued the shit out of them. The left sued the living fuck out of the Obama administration. The left gave Obama so much fucking problems that Obama had to completely change his entire immigration policy and process because he knew that the left was going to completely freaking get rid of him. And there's no way, like by the time they found out, there's no way he would ever be politically relevant ever again. And that wasn't even systematic. That was something that they found out was happening, right? That was something that was not directed by the president. Right? But happened anyway. The left tried to impeach him over that shit. Okay? They didn't actually file the articles, but there was actual talks of fucking impeaching President Obama over things that weren't fucking 3% of what Trump is doing right now. And that was coming from the left. That wasn't coming from the right. Okay? But you know what the Obama administration didn't have? They didn't have a systematic policy of separating children. They didn't have a policy of creating concentration camps in the United States, right? They didn't have a policy that literally of like confronting agitators or stopping people from being able to protest or anything. They didn't have any of that, right? They didn't have policies of sending people to torture prisons. Excuse me. They didn't have a policy of any of those things. None of these things that Donald Trump is doing, people want to say like, oh, Obama deported people. And yeah, he deported a lot of fucking people, right? I don't know if you know this or not, but actually during the Obama administration, all these like sanctuary cities didn't exist. Did you know that?
Wasn't LA still one?
Nope. None of these sanctuary cities existed. Nope. But we can go back to that. I'm sorry. We'll go back to that in a second. I'm sorry. I came off topic. What I'm saying is those people were given due process under the law. Right? Those people, while there was very bad things that happened, and I'm not saying there weren't bad things that happened, there was 100% bad things that happened under the Obama administration. The difference is that the left protested Obama and Obama changed. The left protested Trump, and Trump calls everybody on the left domestic terrorists. Right? And ramps up his violence.
Before, I think that's a bad look. That's not a good thing.
He literally called for the hanging of Democratic representatives.
So it sounds like to me that you don't really necessarily have an issue with what ICE is doing. You have an issue with how they're doing it.
Oh no, I have a problem with what ICE is doing, but I have a bigger problem with how they're doing it.
Because you told me earlier that if somebody committed a violent crime. So that's the line for you is if they commit a violent crime.
Well, I mean, if
they just come here illegally and they don't commit a violent crime. But let's say they just come in and they just start working. You think that they should stay, and that
not necessarily. I think we need to have better border policy, right? I think we need to have better border policy to shore up our border. You know what I'm saying, right? To make sure that people aren't, sneaking around as much as possible. And I also think that we need to have better pathways for people to be able to do it legally, right? Right now, our immigration system is so
like what that means. What do you mean by that? Like,
yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. So our immigration courts are so backed up and so like crowded and there's not enough immigration judges or immigration court staffs or anything like that, right? So what you have is this situation where it makes it very, very difficult to have a legal way to get here, right? So there are dozens of ways, but they're very, very tight margins, right? So there's only so many work visas, right? And what you see is people get work visas and then they try to apply for immigration status. They don't get it. They end up being here illegally, right? Or people try to seek asylum, right? Well, cool. You come here, you seek asylum, you have a valid asylum claim, and then it takes you 5, 6, 7, 8 years to get a court date, right? That's stupid, right? That's ridiculous. Not to mention all of these things cost lawyers. They cost ridiculous amounts of money. They cost all sorts of things, right? And so what that does is that feeds our undocumented problem, right? So when people that I believe should be able to come here legally can't get here legally, then they end up not only coming here illegally, but they end up hiring, the cartel and doing all sorts of other horrible things that hurt them and American society, right? So we need to fix that problem, right? We need to fix that problem of it being so hard to come here, right? So that people can come here, they can seek a new life, they can gain citizenship, they can gain permanent residency, they can do all those things. And then also at the same time, shore up our border to make sure that the cartel can't sneak people over, sneak over drugs and all that sort of stuff. But none of that fixes the problem of people that are already here, right? Because right now we have people that are trying to do things the right way that are being deported by Donald Trump. We have people that are being arrested and apprehended and detained at their actual green card hearings and being ripped out of the country and sent to detention centers, right? So we have to do something about the people that are here. And deporting 14 million people is just illogical. It's just impossible. It doesn't make any sense, right? Like it's just, there's no possible way of doing it. So what do we do about that? Well, we have to do some type of mass amnesty. There's no other way to do it, right? We have to take the people that are here, that are not committing crimes, who have lived here for a certain amount of time, that are working, that are paying their taxes, that are literally doing things a legal way and trying to do things a legal way. And then we take them, we give them a legal path to citizenship, right? We allow them to stay here and we give them a legal path. Now you fuck up, you commit a crime or some shit like that, we kick you the fuck out, right? Immediately. But for everything, all of that, you keep them here, right? They're boosting our economy. They're boosting our workforce in all sorts of sectors, construction, agriculture, service industry, you name it, right? They're boosting the shit out of our economy, right? They're paying a shit ton of taxes. Undocumented immigrants in the last tracked year paid almost $100 billion in taxes, right? So you leave them here, you make them fully legal, and then you secure the border. It fixes the whole problem, right? But you got to do all of it at one time. You got to fix our court system. You have to secure the border, and you have to give a mass amnesty, and you have to do it all at one time, right? That way, the people that are here get to stay here legally. The people that aren't here have either a legal way to do it, or if they don't have a legal way to do it, we shut them the fuck off. That way, we know who's here. We know we know like what's going on, and then we have the full ability to punish anybody who breaks the rules.
I can agree with most of that. The only two issues that I would have is one, vetting. I know that with a bunch of these immigrants, it would be very, very difficult to vet them as far as their history. Like if one, let's say one has come from another country and they have really poor record keeping and there's not any up-to-date records, how do you know if that person is a violent criminal or not? That's going to be extremely difficult to do. Second of all, now there's one thing that I don't know about. I'm not sure how do illegal immigrants pay taxes? I don't understand that.
Yeah, so first of all, in many states, you can get what's called an I-10, which is like similar to what you use your Social Security for, Social Security number for, and you can pay taxes in those states.
Okay, so how do they have a Social Security number then?
They don't. They have an I-10.
Okay, all right. And then second thing is about boosting the economy. Now, my family has been in construction for like a lot of their lives, and my uncle actually owns a company in Virginia, and he does employ a lot of immigrants, and he does at like a reduced rate, which is what I have an issue with, right? Because yes, they're boosting the economy, they're filling jobs, they're helping our society, but at the same time, it's bad for them because they're not getting paid fairly, but they can't do anything because they don't have any, platform to stand on because they're not a citizen. They have no right. And second of all, they're undercutting, Americans who would take that job versus imagine if you're the boss, you're going to hire that immigrant who's going to do the same amount of work for less, and he can't say anything about it. It's unfair to him.
But
and
sir,
I think that's an issue.
My max amnesty thing fixes that, because then they're here legally. Once
so how would you fix
once they're here legally, then they fall under U.S.
that?
labor laws and they can't be exploited as easily.
Because here's the kind of like zooming out how I see it. Okay, so I'm Cuban. My grandmother came here from Cuba because of the whole Fidel Castro thing went on down there. So I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for immigration. But
Oh,
I
so you're a
also
ladder
know
puller. That's good.
currently, I also know that as a country today, we are struggling with everything.
What are we?
With our citizens can't afford anything. We can't afford rent, especially like young people like me. We have no future of being able to buy a house or anything like that. And the way I see it, that would require an insane amount of resources to overhaul and do. And I personally think that we need to figure our own shit out first.
Which is
And
funny.
then once we have our own stuff figured out first, then I say, let's do it. Let's welcome everybody in, and then we can go from there. That's kind of the way I see it.
What's funny is Kamala Harris's #1 policy was fixing the housing issue in the United States. It was her literal
I did see that.
one
it was more
policy.
Of like, give money to people, which I don't think
Give
really
money
fixed
to
anything.
people.
Yeah.
What do you mean give money to people?
I don't remember exactly because I saw.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it because none of it was give money to people.
It was some kind of cash policy, right?
It was not, no.
To help first-time homeowners, like
it was down payment assistance. Every single state in the United States currently has over a dozen down payment assistance programs.
Okay. Well, that's what I was talking about. I don't really know too much about that. I was just.
Yeah, it's not saying give people money, sir. It's just making a subsidy for people because a lot of the problem that people have when it comes to buying houses is the down payment, right? Like depending on where you live, that down payment can be very, very large, right? And so saying like, hey, you can afford the mortgage, but you might not be able to have the upfront down payment. Well, we're going to give you assistance with that, right? Up to a certain amount of money. But it wasn't just that, right? It was also subsidizing builders to be able to build more houses. So therefore, you increase the supply of houses. So therefore, the price goes down, right? Simple supply side economics 101, right? So you build more houses, right? Then prices go down. Then you give down payment assistance to people, make sure that they can afford that down payment. So that if they can't afford the mortgage, they can do it. And then you have people that can get houses, right? It's just that simple. But what's Donald Trump's plan? Oh yeah, that's right. He doesn't have a single one. So housing keeps getting worse. Actually, Donald Trump was the one that changed the Fair Housing Act to make it to make it easier for corporations to buy up single family housing, therefore making prices more expensive for people.
No,
right?
I agree. I mean, yeah, I think it's so fucked up and broken.
It's not that it's fucked up and broken, sir. What I'm saying, I'm not saying it's fucked up and broken, sir. Sir, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying it's fucked up and broken. I am saying Donald Trump fucked up and broke it. Maybe not broke it. He helped it break further. Okay.
So yeah, I mean it's been broken. I don't know. It hasn't been broken for just 2 years. It's been broken.
No, I'm saying he helped to break it in 2017. More, not 2 years ago,
that's
right?
A whole separate issue, but
It's not. This was Trump in 2017. But sir, I need to make this clear. You had the choice between somebody who had a comprehensive plan to add a whole bunch of money to the border patrol, to add more money on the border for border protection, to help make sure less people came in the country illegally, right? To add more immigration judges and all that sort of stuff to help process people more quickly. And that was going to help the housing issue, but you chose not that person and you chose the other person. So it kind of falls on a little bit of a deaf ears to me, dude, that it's like these things that you're complaining about, you didn't, the things that you're complaining about, you had the chance to vote for and you didn't.
I listened to every debate. I didn't go on both of their websites as far as Trump's and, Kamala Harris's websites and read all of their, every line of their policies and all of that. But I did watch all of the debates and all of that. And from what I saw, I didn't think that Harris, if that is true, I do agree with what you just said, but she didn't communicate that clearly at all. Because
Dude, they
for
only
the
had one
debate,
debate, and
90% of
Kamala
it was
Harris.
just a shouting match between them, and it's the stupidest
I'm
thing.
sorry, were you watching a different debate than I did? Because Kamala Harris absolutely and unequivocally worked Donald Trump in that debate. That wasn't even fucking close, dude. She absolutely
Well,
smacked the shit out of him.
shouting match.
It was not a shouting match. That person shouting was Trump,
a
while
worse
Kamala Harris
person.
freaking incrementally destroyed him in that debate. What are you talking about, dude? If you just watched the debate, then Kamala Harris was the easiest person in the world to vote for.
Well, it must have not have worked because most Americans didn't vote for her.
No, I just don't know what you're
That's
talking
the only
about.
issue.
No,
She
sir,
got her ass
sir,
kicked. She
sir.
got her ass
You don't
kicked.
you
It
don't you
wasn't
don't
even
win an
close.
election off of having better policies. You win out of elections out of being the most manipulative. Okay? I want to remind you that Hitler won the election. Right?
Okay, I'm trying to understand how that's
Because
how you're
just
comparing
because you win an election doesn't mean you have better policies. What was Donald Trump's main policy? Right? I'm going to close the border and drill, baby, drill. Okay, well, he closed the border. That's correct. From legal migration. That's the majority of what he's done. No new wars. I'm the president of peace. No new wars. He's been involved in 6 different countries now when it comes militarily. Right? I'm gonna end the war between Ukraine and Russia on the first day. Well, failed on that. I'm gonna end the war between Israel and Palestine. Failed. I'm gonna end inflation. Inflation will be gone. I'm gonna lower your grocery prices. Still hasn't happened. Grocery prices are at all-time highs. He just got up there and yelled things that he had no ability to do. Okay? He yelled things that he had no ability to do. And people like me were on social media platforms like this saying he doesn't have the ability to do that. He's lying. Okay? There's no ability that he has as the president to do these things. But y'all just voted for him because he was able to communicate his fucking lies. And Kamala Harris had the problem of needing to be truthful, needing to be honest, needing to tell the American people things that were actually plausible. But instead of listening to plausible, you'd rather listen to, I don't know, whatever the fuck, dude.
that's a crazy thing to say.
It's not a crazy thing to say. Literally everything that Donald Trump has ran on, he's failed at.
Sense if nobody's ever heard of Trump, but Trump was already president. People already
and
knew
failed the first
what kind
time.
Of Trump president was.
What did he accomplish the first time?
He will do, and that's why he got voted again, man.
What did he accomplish the first term?
I mean, what did he accomplish? Think here. That was when I was, oh my gosh, I was pretty young then. I'm trying to remember. I know with family income, it was at its all-time highest. As far as the middle bracket, the average amount of income went up.
Yeah, it had been going up for 6 straight years due to Obama policies. What did Donald Trump do to affect that?
I don't know any.
No, sir, please. No, you're telling me Donald Trump was president. They saw what he did. That's why they voted for him. They saw how great of a president he was the first time. That's why they voted for him. What did he
do? That was more in a
do?
Response to what you said about
the middle class was shrunk by the time he freaking left office. By the way, the middle class was super fucking tiny due to his trickle down. No. I'm not holding on for anything, sir. You said Donald Trump was president the first time. They saw what he did. And they were like, gotta vote for him again. So I'm asking you, what did he do? What did he do? What policy helped people out in America the first time he was president?
I think one of the main reasons he was voted is because he wasn't a politician.
No, it's because he wasn't black and a woman.
People were tired of politicians being voted.
Sir, you don't get to be president and then run off of not being a politician. Okay, he was already president.
Exactly why he was voted in.
Okay, sir.
You got it.
Sir, gotcha. Can you please explain to me one thing Donald Trump did in his first term? I'm still waiting.
Well, you'll understand. This was what? This was
Not that fucking
2016.
long ago,
So I
sir.
was,
If
that was
everybody
a
voted for
decade ago.
him
I
for
was
how amazing he did in the
trying to
first
remember.
term, please just tell me one thing that he did. Please and thank you.
Let me think.
You've been thinking for quite a while.
I did already tell you one thing, and you kind of already.
No, you told me
said something
how
about
the
that.
world was. You didn't tell me what Trump did to affect that.
Well, I know you had some. Again, I don't know any specific policies I can pull up and being like, this was 8 years ago. He did this. Like, I don't have that, man. I'm sorry. But
Oh,
I know
it's pretty simple because he didn't, sir. The median household income was rising every year for 6 years. Donald Trump stepped in office, did nothing, and it kept rising. The unemployment rate was going down every year for 6 years. Donald Trump got in office and did fucking nothing, and it kept going down. The inflation rate was going down every single year for 6 years. Donald Trump stepped into office, did nothing, and it kept going down. Then as soon as one of Donald Trump's policies got implemented, which is the TCJA, okay, we saw all of that reverse and we started heading towards a recession. The middle class started to shrink at an alarming rate. The second one of Donald Trump's policies existed, the second one of them actually kicked in, we went to shit. Donald Trump didn't do shit in his first term that helped anybody unless you're an ultra rich person in the country.
It's insane.
all I'm saying, man, is that there is something that he's doing that he does that connects with a lot of Americans, and that's why he got voted in.
He has a
It's not because
39%
he is
approval rating.
lying or manipulating, because that just doesn't make any sense.
It makes
Because
perfect
I don't know
sense, sir.
anybody that good enough to fool fucking more than half of the U.S.
He never got half of the U.S. to vote for him, by the way. He had like 78 million votes, sir. There's 350 million people in the United States.
Well, he did wipe the floor with Kamala.
He beat her by 1.5%.
On the vote, yeah, but not
The vote is what
not
matters.
The electoral college.
The electoral
So
college is literally DEI for red states.
I got worried there for a second, and I was like, oh, thank God.
You should be
man,
worried
I gotta
currently,
go.
sir.
I appreciate it, though. It was a nice conversation. You have a good night, okay?
All right. Well, hopefully you take some of these things and actually think instead of getting defensive like you're doing at the end. Okay. Stop being defensive. Start looking into things. Okay. Instead of getting defensive about them. Because when you look into things and actually research them, it's really, 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 really easy to realize that you got duped, bro. And that's the end of it. You got duped. And I know that's hard for like people to like, you know, understand and deal with that situation, but you got duped, bro. And that's all that's the whole thing. Okay?
Okay.
All right, dude. Well, you have a good one. All right, yo, I need 30 seconds. I'll be right back. All right, sorry y'all. Jesus. I could literally see my like the water going up in my eyes there. Holy shit. Y'all, thank you guys so much for being here. Please hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button if you're new here. I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. Wow, that was a conversation, all right. Yo, if y'all would like support, I do have super chats, super stick-ins, pay links in the bio, all that fun stuff. Live gift goal, got the hand hearts going on. So if you'd like support, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much. We do this 5 days a week. We're looking going Sunday through Thursday. I think I'm going to take tomorrow off. We'll see we'll see what I feel like on Saturday. We shall see what we got going on. Daddy said, your Google Voice goes straight to voicemail. Yes, it does. If I'm on the phone, and you could see I was on the phone. So, yep. B Great says nobody ever bankrupted a casino before Donald Trump. Can anything be bigger than that? Donald Trump, hold my beer. No one bankrupts casinos like me. I'm the best one. Everyone says, Donald, I've never seen a casino bankrupted the way you bankrupt a casino. It's amazing. Freddie, thank you so much for the $10. I really appreciate that. This is that same guy complaining about the voicemail. I think he's back at it again. Yeah, cool. Lovely said, can you ask any color what policy is childcare and how much money it saved people? Yeah, it's a great policy. One of my favorites. Bet this dude sent me like a lot of money to tell me to move on from that caller. You must have really not liked him. Very, very strange. Very strange. I'll pick up the phone if you do it, Oh, hey, we got another one. You are a propagandist. Well, you know what? At least he said you are and not your, because usually they fuck up your. So they're not doing great. And Brian, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That is very, very sweet of you. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to keep this thing moving. Make sure you guys hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button. Donate if you can. Hang around if you can't. Well, hang around if you can too. Hang around regardless. But if you can support, that's awesome too. All right, I really appreciate you guys. We're going to keep this thing going for a little bit. We'll see how long I want to keep this thing going for tonight. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Hi, how old are you?
I'm 37.
You're how old?
I'm 37.
37. You still support Trump?
Hell no.
All right, man. I got to move on. I appreciate you. I'm sorry, y'all. If you don't got to support Trump, I don't got all the time tonight. So we're going to keep this thing moving. So I do appreciate it, though. Hello, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm excellent. How old are you?
Excellent. So
how old are you, sir?
I've been listening. Come again?
How old are you?
31.
Awesome. Do you still support Trump?
Excuse me?
Do you still support Trump?
Yes.
Awesome. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I support Trump for a variety of reasons. One of the primary reasons for me is going to be tax policy via the one big beautiful bill. Just for a little bit of disclosure, I am a CPA, and I'm very intimately aware of the various components of the of the OBB that essentially has created a lot of value and will create a lot of value in the future during this current tax preparation season for both myself and my clients. And
I have no argument that the big beautiful bill is going to include tax, incentives for people in this next tax season. I have no argument against that.
Okay.
Yeah, my argument is that Donald Trump's tariff policy outweighs that.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, because there's literally been billions of dollars of tax revenue, and the new Kiel Institute policy says that 96% of that was paid by American citizens. So while there will be tax incentives and people are going to see a lot more on their tax return this year, they're actually paying a lot more in taxes across the year than they are receiving at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let me address a couple of things. So yes, well, not yes. I will take your word for it because it does seem highly likely that the overwhelming majority of the payments made as it relates to tariffs will be paid by U.S. citizens or by companies that are mostly or majority owned by U.S. citizens, right? However, I want to address two things. So tariffs are, this goes without saying, right? tariffs can be extremely complicated and they can be extremely complex. There's a lot of room that's open for negotiation. A lot of people don't know this, but yes, importers are in substance responsible for a lot of the payments for tariffs. However, there is a huge negotiation process that takes place for many importers who are selling in the United States domestically, and part of that negotiation process is, guess what? They are a customer, right? You know what B2B is, right? We're business to business. So essentially, the importers are the customers within that particular wholesale chain. So they have a lot of leverage in terms of determining what portion of the tariffs will effectively be paid by the exporter versus themselves.
No, they don't.
And they do.
No, they don't. That's what the Kiel Institute policy actually showed, is that they had zero leverage, right? Because
okay,
if it was,
I'm not sure which Cato policy you're referring to.
Kiel Institute,
but I have firsthand experience with my clients who have foreign-based AP or accounts payable, where you can negotiate. I'm telling you this, you can negotiate practically anything.
Sir, the CFO of Walmart went to his Chinese suppliers and said, hey, we have this high tariff raise due to Donald Trump's policy. And China told him to, excuse my language, get fucked. We're not paying any of that. You have a problem with that, go to your president. Okay. So if Walmart has no leverage, if Amazon has no leverage, then you're telling me small business owners have leverage?
Okay, so this is, as a matter of fact, yes, they do. It's a sliding scale, and obviously if you have more volume, you're going to have more leverage. So here's what I want to do, right? You are talking about, at this point, not only are these isolated incidents, but they're also not supported. I'm not aware of any particular sources that can confirm what you're saying. But anyway, the truth of the matter is, I don't think the discussion should be focused around particular relationships. It should be focused on the aggregate. It should be focused on what are going to be the systemic economic patterns of a policy. And by the way, I don't necessarily support the tariffs. However, I do think that the narrative as it relates to the negative consequences of tariffs has been completely overblown by people like yourselves and others who suffer from some degree of Trump derangement syndrome. Admittedly, for yourself, I don't think that you're extremely TDS sick, but
is that your professional CPA opinion?
It's in terms of what? In terms of like my little amateur diagnosis. No. By the way, I'm giving you some partial credit, right?
I don't need your credit, sir.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll get back to the core discussion here. So yes, so all tariffs can be negotiated. If there is a particular vendor with Walmart or Amazon that essentially told them, to basically go F themselves, that in itself could be considered a negotiation tactic. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's the end all be all. And even if it was, that's just one vendor relationship amongst many that Walmart has. And one thing that I want to point to, and I remember during the earlier part of our call, I said I had 2 points, right? So I'm going to get to my 2 points.
Yeah, you can stop because you already made way 2 points to move on. And you made too many points already in that statement in order to move on to 2 points. So we're going to address what you already said, and then you can move on to your 2 points. Sound good? First of all, let me be very, very clear. The second that you used Trump derangement syndrome, you lost all credibility as a finance professional, okay? Because what I have talked about this entire time is the actual numbers. You said that I have no actual data or any type of reference in order to back up what I said.
That's not what I said.
Yes, you did, sir. And I've already put it up on sir. I let you talk for way too long. I think it's my turn. I appreciate that. Thank you. So what I was, y'all, if it's glitching or freezing over there, please head over to the freaking YouTube and come hang out. Okay? Polypolitics 1.0 over there. If it's glitching over there, come hang out over on the spot that's not. All right? But you lost all, like, fully all credibility, okay? Because you went from actually talking about finances and stuff like that over to talking about just buzzwords that Fox News uses, okay? But I wasn't talking about a singular vendor when it came to Walmart, right? I was talking about the entirety of vendors, right? They went to China and tried to get the entirety of vendors, right? The actual sellers of the majority of the products, right? And they were told to get banned. And that is what is happening exponentially across all businesses and all the way down to small businesses. Okay, these tariffs literally have put close to 1 million businesses out of small businesses out of freaking work just in 2025 alone. All right, I think it was 936,000. All right. Because a lot of small businesses rely on this. And I'm sorry, I know that you think that they have leverage, but they don't. And here's the reason why we know they don't have leverage is because you've seen countries like Canada actually make individual trade deals with China. You've seen South America also do that. So instead of taking that business and having leverage, those Chinese manufacturers just saying, we'll just take our business elsewhere. And they're being, encouraged by their government to do so. So now they're just building things for other countries and other manufacturers at the, at the detriment to American consumers, right? We are not gaining anything by this, right? All we're doing is hurting American consumers, hurting American businesses, both small and large. And if you're telling me that your small little group of, of anecdotal small business owners that you're the CPA for, like somehow has been able to negotiate something, well, that's cool. That represents less than 0.01111111% of small business owners in the United States, where I am talking about the Kiel Institute, who has done the study across it, and along with Pew Research Center, who has done an actual excellent, data sourcing on that. So no, I'm sorry. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
By the way, you made some really excellent points. So I'd like to address a couple of them. So I did say that all companies do have leverage, and I also did mention it is a sliding scale, that the more volume you have, the more leverage you do have. And you mentioned that the entirety of the vendors from China. I'm not entirely sure how accurate that is, because when you're talking about tariffs and when you're talking about how that would impact Walmart in particular, that's negotiated or discussed on a vendor by vendor basis. It's not like, although the CCP does have some pretty broad policy influences, vendors still do have quite a bit of autonomy as relates to decisions with their customers, in this case Walmart. So I would have to do, in fact, I would love if you can provide some sources. If not, I just don't think that that's true, just based on my understanding of how things work with large retailers. But anyway, so that's my point there. And in terms of, and this is actually my second point, which you conveniently allowed me to segue into, is the effects as it impacts everyday people, of which you would obviously include what you mentioned, 1 million small businesses that went out of business as a consequence of the tariffs. I'm not entirely sure if those business failures were a direct consequence of the tariffs. I haven't seen any studies or any sources to confirm that. However, what I will say is, one of the reasons why I'm concluding that the tariffs weren't necessarily as adverse as many people say they are, is because inflation year over year has decreased. So I believe last year it was 2.9, and the inflation rate for 2025 was 2.7. And so if there were any adverse impacts as a consequence of the tariffs, those were absorbed by the exporters, because we didn't see that translate, or it was absorbed by a combination of the exporters and importers. But consumers obviously did not get the brunt of those economic adverse effects, because we would have seen it in the inflation numbers. And let's just take it for granted. Let's just say, maybe instead of 2.7, it would have been 1.7. Okay, it's that would just demonstrate essentially how effective this policy was in terms of, garnering better trade deals with various countries, and how essentially the American consumer did not face any adverse consequences based on the numbers. And you can verify if you want to take some time to verify the numbers.
No, I know
That's
what the
from
numbers were. What was the inflation rate when Donald Trump took over?
Well, the inflation rate, you're referring to Trump 2.0?
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially, I'll just repeat the numbers that I just mentioned a few moments ago. So when Trump took office, the numbers were in 2020. Well, he was inaugurated in 2025, but essentially the inflation numbers were in 2024 it was 2.9, and then in 2025 it was 2.7. That's the CPI. Which is pretty remarkable when you consider, like.
So what does that mean? What does that inflation rate mean?
I am so glad you asked that question. So what inflation means
let's slow this. Let's just slow this down real quick. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Let's slow it down.
If the inflation rate is 2.7% right now, okay, does that mean that things are more or less expensive than they were when Donald Trump took office?
Oh, things are most certainly more expensive. They're 2.7% more expensive.
Perfect. That's all I was looking for.
However, there's always going to be, barring an extreme recession or even a depression like we had in COVID, and even then that was a weird sort of anomaly because there was still some degree of inflation in. But anyway, you will rarely experience what's considered deflation, which is when technically that inflation number will be a negative number
as opposed
to a positive one. But there's always going to be some degree of inflation as a consequence of economic growth and money printing.
If you wouldn't mind, could I go ahead and finish my point?
Sure.
Yeah, awesome. Did you look at the CPI or the BLS data that came out? I guess must have been like end of November, early December.
The most recent data, I looked up this statistic yesterday.
Okay, well, I'm just asking if you looked at the BLS data since December, like the one that came out in December, because I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. Okay. But BLS is. I'm assuming you're familiar with BLS, correct?
The CPI is a metric, or the Consumer Price Index is produced by the Bureau.
I'm making a point. We'll get there in a second, okay? Yeah. So I'm assuming you're familiar with BLS.
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with the data tables that show up like whenever the inflation rate is and CPI is generated, and how the data set looks for that? Have you ever reviewed that data?
Yes.
Okay,
it's usually
perfect.
From a basket of goods. Yeah.
So you get to see every single sector, right, and every single like subsector to see exactly where things are up, and that's how that that CPI inflation rate is calculated, right? Because you to give an example, right, you might see computers inflated by 0.5%. You might see beef, down by 0.5%, and it calculates all into one giant data table that comes out with one singular inflation rate, right? And sometimes you'll see the the CPI data, and you'll see the inflation rate different. Like it'll be like groceries are up, petroleum is down, like all things are. So when the government shut down in October, September was the last year that we had actually.
October what?
October 1st.
October.
Sorry, October.
Shut down on October 1st.
Yeah, that's right.
So you're referring. Okay.
The government shutdown that happened, in October, right at the end of the fiscal year, right? Yeah. So before that, we got to see that entire data set, right? We got to see exactly everything that was up and down, all the way through, and then the government shut down, and the government just stopped releasing that data. For 45 days, the government was shut down and nobody released a single part of how that data was actually made, right? And what data set they were using in order to create that inflation rate. And then they released it about 60 something days later with an incomplete data set. right? Actually, over 80% of the data that actually goes into calculating the inflation rate, not there. They just didn't include it whatsoever, right? During that time, also, I want to be very clear that Donald Trump fired the head of BLS to put in somebody that was more favorable to him, right? So we have an inflation rate, right, that was growing, right? Like not substantially, but it was growing, right? It was moving up, and then all of a sudden, BLS, controlled, by them, starts releasing data with no information behind it whatsoever that I'm apparently supposed to believe, right? Because I can't see all the data, right? And yet across the board, everybody is seeing higher prices. So why should I believe the Trump administration, right, who has been very, very prone to lying, right, who replaced their BLS, like their head of BLS, who stopped releasing all the data for me to be able to look at it? Why should I even believe that the inflation rate that they're saying is true is even true? Why should I even believe it?
Well, okay. So, by the way, and thank you for your comments. So, as a matter of fact, I'm actually on the BLS website right now, and I can't see anything that's supporting your. I can't. The data is here. I'm looking at all of the various price items. They include food at home, energy, electricity, food away from home, gasoline. So the data, and I'm not saying that you're a liar. What my conclusion would be is that perhaps you were looking at something that was perhaps incomplete or a derivative source, that wasn't necessarily, directly from the BLS website.
Hold
But
on.
I'm
What
looking at
data
this
did you
data.
say you had?
Yeah, I'm on. It's the graphics for economic news, 12 months percentage change, consumer price index, selected categories, and everything is there.
You're seeing
So
all
in
items, food, energy, and all items less food and energy?
it's all
Is
there.
that what you're
Yeah,
looking at?
but yeah,
Yeah, those are,
and
sir, that's 4 data points. There are literally
no,
hundreds and
no.
hundreds.
This is. I could do quick math here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, -1, -2. So what? That's 6. There's like 16 different items.
Yeah.
So it's all
16
it's all
different
there.
items
And by the
doesn't
way,
even cover groceries, sir.
no, it does. What I'm looking at right now, it literally says, so there's 2 columns. The one on the top item is all items on the left, and then when you move to the right, there's food.
Oh, I guess
then
they
there's food
started
away from
releasing a
home.
few of them after they freaking went off the charts on them.
Well, you know what? I will
By the way,
partially concede. I'll partially concede here and give you some credit, or at least agree with you that I do think that a lot of what Trump does, in my opinion, it doesn't represent, what we consider presidential. Like, I don't like him, threatening, Jay Powell or removing people when metrics come out, like all that stuff. It doesn't help, right? But ultimately, the data is the data, and
I have the data up right here, sir, where they just stopped releasing data in all of October, all of November, and then all of a sudden they started pulling up December numbers out of nowhere. Don't you find that strange?
Well, the thing is, at the federal level, right? The fiscal year ends/begins in the fall, so that's why. And so since then, it's been what, like 3 or 4 months since then. So there's been quite a bit of time to essentially, recapture, various data elements and create the figures that I'm looking at, and they're there. I'll give you. You can just type into Google graphics for economic news releases, and you can just type in 12-month percentage change, consumer price index.
They're just going to use this
category.
data.
And it's come again?
They're just going to use this data.
You said they're just going to use that data?
Yeah, they're just going to use this data that I'm showing that is completely incomplete.
Oh, are you sharing your screen?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've had it up for for a couple minutes now, or whatever.
Hold on one moment.
It's not important, sir. Sir, you're looking at the same data I am. You already said you are.
No, you're. This may be a. this may be a graph. Let's see here. Yeah, I think what you're looking at may be outdated.
It's outdated. It's directly off of freaking BLS.gov.
Okay, because I'm actually, what you're looking at is a table. I'm actually looking at a graph.
Yeah, I don't want a
So-
graph, sir. I want the table because the table shows me everything that's missing. That's the whole point. Is this shows me what we have and what we don't have, right? And I think that that's important. And to be completely honest, because a graph is going to show, different categories of things and different, things like that. I want to see exactly what the numbers are for each thing because I want to see if it makes sense, right? Like, and I'll give you an example. Earlier in the year, and actually this actually shows like June through December, but excuse me. But earlier in the year, right, we saw a decrease in inflation. And the reason why we saw that decrease in inflation is actually because fuel prices were going down. Right? So we saw fuel prices go down. And when fuel prices went down, the overall inflation rate had lowered, but actually the price of groceries and the price of things had actually gone up. Right? And so the price of fuel was disproportionately, affecting the overall inflation numbers. Right? So when you went to the grocery store, you were still seeing a higher price, but your fuel pumps was lower. So therefore, the entire equation made sense. So I like to look at the data on all of these things, right? And see exactly where the inflation is coming from. Because just because you see the overall data doesn't mean that you know the entire story. And I like to have the entire story. You know what I'm saying? And what the entire story is showing me is that Donald Trump said that he was going to end inflation. He did not do that, right? He said affordability is a Democratic hoax, right? And it doesn't look like it to me because affordability seems to be going the opposite direction, right? Now, are we seeing as stark of an increase as we had thought we were going to see based off of Donald Trump's tariffs? No, we're not, right? But we're also not seeing Donald Trump's tariffs at the full weight that we've seen Donald Trump's tariffs, right? And I mean that by saying that Donald Trump announces a tariff. It seems like at random or whatever country happens to piss him off that day, right? Announces a tariff. The tariff goes in. They make some trade deal, which is actually never signed, never goes into effect, and never becomes policy. And then all of a sudden he lowers tariff. Or, like other instances where he just saw the bond market start to completely crash. Right? And then he decided to start lowering tariffs or other things like that, right? Hold on one second. I'm almost finished. No, you can correct me when I'm finished.
You said the bond
You
market
can correct me
crashed.
when I'm finished, sir. You can correct me when I'm finished.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
So what I'm saying is that Donald Trump's policies of tariff never actually stay consistent enough to see a full hit of his tariffs. What it does enough of is it does enough of disrupting business, right? We're seeing business not be able to expand. They're not hiring, right? They're not doing the things that we want business to do. They're not, expanding. They're not innovating. They're not doing any of these things because they never know what Donald Trump is going to wake up and raise or lower a tariff on the next day, right? And I think that that's horrible for our economy, like just in general, right? Whenever business doesn't have security, right? Because when we're talking about things like manufacturing, it takes years and years and years and years and years and years and years to spin up factories, to move factories, to do all these things. They need to be able to have that foresight to be able to do stuff. And Donald Trump's tariffs and the constant changing of them, right, creates a volatile market, right, which is bad for our economy as a whole, right? Companies don't know what to do. So they're doing the best they can. But luckily, the stock market hasn't, for some reason, just has realized that that's where Donald Trump got his name, Taco. I'm sure you've heard that, right? You've heard of Taco. That's where he got his name from, the stock market, because he doesn't hold on to anything, right? He backs out of everything. Your turn.
Yeah. So in terms of, Donald Trump, and by the way, I do want to make a concession right now that the data for October and the month of November is in fact missing. So I do want to say that I have been corrected there. And what I would actually do.
My girlfriend's an accountant. You can blame her for that one, okay?
No worries. So what I would do just as to essentially, and I do think that this should be corrected, but what I would do just as a way to sort of, I guess, fill in, or let's do this. Let's not even talk about projections, right? If you look at essentially the sort of trend on a month by month basis, there really aren't very like wide swings. So that's probably why the statisticians at the BLS were able to produce an annual figure with high level of confidence, is because those particular items that were missing were like, yeah, that like a few basis points. But anyway, if you want, I mean, if we were to add in, just based on me just roughly looking at the numbers without putting it through like Excel or something, then it would probably be like 0.1, 0.2% above 2024, which would still be pretty good considering the tariff policies. And I do want to agree with you as well on the point that yes, a lack of stability and predictability, as it relates to tax policy, in particular as it relates to tariffs, can slow growth or mitigate growth. However, it's not the primary driver. The primary driver of capital investment, as well as investment in talent and labor, is ultimately driven by demand. And what we have seen right, which is evident from the inflation numbers, is that consumer demand is still pretty inelastic. It's still essentially punching through, and we haven't really seen any big decreases in demand. So the stock market, even though it helps me to mention it, I'm not going to mention it as being a reliable indicator of economic performance, because it's really not, for reasons that I don't want to spend time explaining. But I think
I agree
ultimately,
with you.
Yeah, I think it's nice. I mean, it's a nice indicator, but it's more important, in my opinion. It's probably more important than other things that people look at. But I think one of the biggest reliable and the most reliable indicators of someone's economic performance, in this case Trump, is demand. Because demand is essentially what they say, right? They say that the customer's always right. The customer is the demand side of that supply and demand equation. So as long as you have demand, there will always be suppliers, and those suppliers will put in place different infrastructures and different talent in order to help supply that demand.
No, I will say I agree with you that our market has been surprisingly resilient, right? Our stock market has, and our buying market has, right? That people, even with increased costs and with tariff price and with instability within business and manufacturing, our buying market has been surprisingly resilient. I will say that, right? Actually, against most economic models, right? Like, I mean, we are definitely seeing prices decrease. We're seeing, company layoffs from places like Amazon, who just laid off 16,000 workers, right? We are seeing the effect. Excuse me.
So
we are seeing the effect, but it has been quite elastic. And I will say that. I don't know what to talk about that, say about that, right? Because we've seen the tariffs come in.
Yeah.
Donald Trump put these crazy tariffs, right, out, tariffing islands that only have penguins on them, right? We expected to see a huge backlash, but before we got to see that backlash,
hold on. We So in terms
I mean, he did
like,
literally tariff an island with only penguins on it. That's a real thing that happened.
I know, but this is like I was really optimistic about our conversation.
Free the penguins.
So
I haven't been optimistic about this whatsoever. You said TDS about 30 seconds in.
I know, and this is ironically one of those TDS moments, right?
It's not a TDS moment. It's a fact. He tariffed an island that no people live on, and it's only inhabited by penguins. That is a reality of the situation that happened.
I'm not disagreeing with the fact.
Then why'd you cut me off?
What I'm disagreeing with is you're looking at the nominal policy execution.
Sir, I didn't get to my full point. If you would just let me continue, sir, if you would just let me continue, I would have gotten to.
The reason
sir,
why
I don't need you to continue because you're about to explain what I was already about to explain, but you cut me off.
Okay.
I was saying
feel free.
that Donald Trump tariffed all of these countries, including countries that didn't have people on it, right? And then pulled a whole bunch of them back, right? That's what I was getting ready to say before you stopped me. He pulled a whole bunch of them back, right? And so those full effects of those policies did not matter, right? And then we started to see tariffs on, increased tariffs on China. Just China. Then we started to see increased tariffs on just Canada and Mexico, right? Like a break of the USMC, right? And then we saw it over here, and then we saw it over there, and then we saw it over here. And then it's almost become like this type of game, right? Where it's like, let's see if we can guess which country Donald Trump is going to put a tariff on and which country he's going to take one off of, just depending on honestly, who said the nicest thing about him that day, right? Brazil was on and off, Canada, Mexico have been on and off, right? It's just it's a whole guess. Who are we going to tariff? Who are we going to increase? Who are we going to decrease? And it's just a whole thing, right? Which I think for the stock market, to be completely honest with you, I think kind of puts him in a position he's going to back off most of them. Not super worried about that, right? For the buyer market, I don't think we're seeing the effects that we would if he was just hey, we're going to put tariffs on everybody and we're going to leave them there. Or we're going to back off and leave it there, right? And so I think it puts us in this very, very weird spot. I know it's not having the effect that Donald Trump said it was going to have. And I know that for sure, right? Here's what I know that Donald Trump told us it was going to happen. He said it was going to bring back manufacturing. It's not doing that.
Okay.
He said it's bringing back manufacturing. That's not happening, right? He said it was going to increase jobs. That's not happening. He said it was going to give us better trade deals with these other countries to not happening, right? So what he said was going to happen is not happening, right? But what is happening is a bunch of people are getting laid off and prices are still increasing. That's what I know is happening, right? So
yeah, there are a lot of layoffs, but I do want to address one thing. So just quickly addressing the tariffs on an island with no people and it's just penguins. Well, there's actually a policy substance behind that, because sometimes countries can actually use other countries as proxies to evade tariffs. So anyway, I just wanted to address that. It's not some weird.
That was not this case.
You said that was not, but I'm giving that.
Yeah, I'm sure that might happen someplace else, but not on the herd in McDonald Islands. That was just a bunch of penguins. Can I get free the penguins in the chat, please? Can I get free the penguins in the chat? They do not deserve, this racial profiling. Okay? Just because they wear tuxedos does not mean they deserve this. All right?
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, I've stated my position there in terms of why a country would do that. So that's done. And once again, I do want to mention, right, that the tariffs are not really what's driving a lot of the layoffs that you're saying. And guess what? A lot of these layoffs are highly publicized because these are highly public companies, Amazons, the Facebooks, and a lot of this can just simply be a natural consequence of the cooling of the really hot market that we saw, where many of these companies were actually benefiting from some of the lockdown policies during COVID. So this is just the natural boom and bust cycle of our economy, and the layoffs are just a consequence of the cooling or the bust cycle. And additionally, I want to say as well, right, this is one of the cases where the stock market performance can be a reliable indicator of this. We're not seeing, at least in the aggregate, we're not seeing really poor stock market performance, right? And the reason why, you may think, well, why is that? Why is there a relationship there, right? What's the relationship here? A lot of the layoffs that you're seeing are, I would say, maybe 80% due to just the natural cooling and bust cycle of our economy, but perhaps the other 20% is just especially with the highly publicized tech company layoffs. A lot of these are just simply the consequences of increasing efficiencies and technology from AI-based tech. So that's why I kind of laugh, because it just seemed kind of silly to me that you would suggest that tariff policy, which at the most conservative estimate possible, would have maybe produced 0.6% more inflation than Biden. And that's like the worst case scenario. That would. And by the way, the historical, or the most recent historical average has been right around 3%. So even then, it would still be within the realm of a historical benchmark. But to suggest that would be responsible for a lot of the layoffs is just, there's just no strong economic.
Sir, it doesn't matter if it is. Donald Trump promised that his tariffs were going to bring manufacturing jobs back to America. So even if, even if it was a natural cool down, Donald Trump's tariff policy, according to him, should have brought more jobs than that back, and it didn't.
So here's the thing, right? That is an excellent point. Okay, excellent. It's going to take a lot more than 1 year. And I think Trump has been in office, a little over a year. It's not even a full 13 months yet. It takes a considerable amount of time and capital expenditure to not only shut down a factory or a series of factories, but it also takes tremendous resources to start. And so there's not really a lot of reliable economic data on that yet, because there's not enough time. Many of the tariffs that Trump put in place aren't even a year old yet. So I think when it comes to this particular policy, it has to be at worst a stalemate, or at best I'm right, because we're not seeing
there's
any
actually tons of
economic
data.
impacts. But because it's so, I'm just saying that would be the best case scenario. I think the most realistic scenario is it's still too early to tell.
Nope, there's actually tons of data. You're wrong.
So in terms of,
you're just wrong. You're saying there's no data, and there's tons of data on what companies are doing.
I'm not. No, my keyword was there isn't any reliable data.
Tons of it.
Garner, because
there's so much reliable data.
Because okay, so let's walk through. Let's ignore the surface. Let's really think. Right.
This isn't a surface thing, sir.
What are the things? Just think about. You said your girlfriend's an accountant or a CPA, right? Just kind of think about what kind of information can you garner to make a reliable conclusion about reshoring?
Sure, perfect.
Perhaps property purchases,
sure. Down.
Right? Tax permits,
down.
Those are the kind of
hiring's down. Right.
The hiring. You don't,
sir. Here's what you need to know.
Hiring data can be reliable, but it's not relevant.
It is relevant.
Remember, right?
It is relevant. How are you telling me hiring data is not relevant to freaking whether jobs are coming back or not? How are you telling me that? That's crazy. That's wild, dude. Let me explain to you what the data shows. Hold on. Let me show you what the data shows, and then maybe you can explain better. Okay. What the data shows is companies are not hiring nor firing. Okay.
They're all. One moment. Is this
hold.
manufacturing? Is this manufacturing specific?
It's all of it.
Industry data.
It's all of it.
Specifically
manufacturing, but all of it. Nobody's hiring or firing. Okay. Nobody's expanding or reducing. Everybody is in a holding pattern. Okay. And the reason why everybody's in a holding pattern is because nobody has like you so eloquently explained, and I'll explain how you literally explained my point for me. Okay.
Sure.
You're saying it takes years and years and years and years and years to build these factories, to retool these factories, to do all of these things, right? You're 100% correct. We don't know currently right now whether the Supreme Court is going to rule whether Donald Trump's tariffs are even legal. Right? Yeah. There is a possibility by the summer that the Supreme Court rules that none of these tariffs are even legal. So why would a company start moving or changing their manufacturing or start hiring or firing if they don't know what's going to happen as early as like June, right? They're not going
So
to.
you're
So they
so
freeze. The
you're
entire market
proving
goes
my
flat.
point.
No, I'm
So you're,
not.
so you're pro-
No, I'm not.
well,
Because
the reason
Donald
why
Trump
you are is
saying,
because what did I said? Because I said it. I said, first of all, even if the Supreme Court ruled on this tomorrow, it would still be too soon. So I mean, all you're doing by inserting the potential Supreme Court decision, it's just a sub point within my greater point.
no, it's not, because you didn't let me finish the
that
point that it doesn't
manufacturing, that the
matter.
manufacturing, because first of all, when you're talking about capital intensive businesses or PPE, property, plant, and equipment intensive businesses, you can't rely. The more reliable indicator of a goal to perhaps onshore, it wouldn't be based on hiring. It would be based on the purchases of CapEx.
It's based
or
off
capital
so many
expenditures.
fucking things, and all of them are flat. Every single one of them is flat because A, we don't know what the Supreme Court is going to rule on the tariffs, that they're even favorable. B, Donald Trump's disapproval rating is like 53%. No country is going to start manufacturing here to find out that the next president comes in and just removes all the tariffs, which would be likely. Three. Hold on. Even bigger one, and the biggest one of all of them is that Donald Trump's tariffs don't make up for the cost in product or labor costs that it costs to move manufacturing here. Okay? Not a single one of his tariffs will make up for the change in simply just labor costs by moving a company or moving a manufacturing plant from China or the Philippines or Vietnam to the United States. Not a single one of his tariffs makes up for that.
Over what time horizon? That's the critical factor that you discount.
Over the next 100 years.
You are discounting the factor of time.
No, you're including a factor of time. See, this is where your TDS comes in, sir. Okay. This is where your TDS comes in.
Feel free to explain.
This is where your necessity to please Trump's policies outweighs your thought process. And I am so sorry, sir, but when you can make something in a product for $4 an hour and you have to pay someone $25 an hour here, the next 100 years doesn't make up for that. Okay. Especially when you don't know if those tariffs will be in place in 2.5 years from now. Okay. You don't know that. There is no reason, zero reason for any company to move their manufacturing from outside the United States to the United States outside of just wanting to please Trump. There is nothing. All right. This entire thing here has simply been, and this is why it's so sad for me. Okay. Because you said you're a CPA and I have no reason not to believe you. Okay. I have no reason not to believe that you're a CPA. Okay. But here's what I do have a problem with. Okay. CPA should be dealing in numbers, right? In data, not feelings. All right. And your entire argument has been feelings based, right? It has been your feeling about Donald Trump. It's been a feeling about the tariffs. It's been a feeling about how the other countries are going to respond or how businesses are going to change manufacturing. It has been all on feelings. All right.
Really?
Yes.
I think I've been not only have I demonstrated intellectual honesty, by admitting, for example, that there was a 2-month omission of like a couple of basis points.
Well, I threw that on the screen, sir. You didn't have another choice.
I think the overwhelming majority of this conversation, at least on my end, and obviously to some degree on your own, has been fact and numbers based. But anyway,
all of mine has been facts and numbers based, sir. But you have been.
I would like to actually get back. I would actually like to
I don't want to get back
motivations
anywhere, sir.
for
To be
onshoring.
completely honest with you, I don't really want to get back anywhere. Okay, I want to stay right where I'm at for a second. Okay. And
in terms of discussing,
I'm not saying that this conversation wasn't productive. I think this conversation was very productive. Okay. I think this conversation was incredibly productive, and I have no problem with that. Okay. I don't get to get into in-depth conversations, especially when it comes to numbers and policy and tariffs and the economy when it comes to things. I think that was very important, and I really do enjoy that. Okay. And I think that you've been a good guest. I really do. Okay. But when you said almost 40 minutes ago that I had TDS, okay, you have shown throughout this that it is actually you that has that. Okay. You have shown, okay, that you have no will to argue based off the facts. The facts are the prices are up, businesses are stagnant, the economy is starting to fail, right? And Donald Trump's numbers just don't exist, and they're making it up. That's all it is. That is the simple fact of it. And if you would really just break it down from that point,
I want to concede and agree with you and bring up.
I'm glad you do, but I've been on for over 3 hours and I'm going to sleep. So I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Okay.
But I'm tired because I have to work in the morning. All right.
I understand. And maybe during like, your lunch breaks or whatever, you can, perhaps you can take an intro to basic economics so you can learn about the actual relationships.
Fuck off, dude. Intro to basic economics. I think after this conversation, I'm literally more qualified to be a CPA than you are. Do not hire that guy as your CPA. Okay? Do not hire that guy as a CPA. That's fucking funny. That's fucking funny. He should have whatever licensing it takes to be a CPA. He should have that removed immediately. Chester, thank you so much for the $3. I appreciate you. VJ, thank you so much for the 99 cents. I appreciate that. It's tax season. Y'all, this is just a quick reminder. Y'all hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. This is just a quick reminder to vet your CPAs before you hire them. Just because someone is a CPA doesn't mean that they're a good CPA. Just straight up. I'm going to go to sleep and oh my God, Priscilla. How you doing, Priscilla? I haven't seen you in a while. I'm going to go study for my CPA exam. And y'all have a wonderful night. I plan on being off the next 2 days. I'm definitely going to be off tomorrow. I might be off on Saturday. We'll see how that works. But I'll definitely be off tomorrow. But I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you guys all so much for anybody who supported, who sent gifts or super chats or super stickers or anything like that, or who helped me with my live gift goals or any of those things. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for being here, supporting, independent media conversations with everybody. All right. So thank you guys so much. I love you guys. All right. Bye.